like to call this meeting of your Westland City Council to order. We will begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilwoman Emily Baumann.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Baumann.
Present.
Councilman Hart. Here. Councilwoman Rakowski.
Present.
Councilman Wishart. Here. Pro Tem Sandy.
Present.
President McDermott.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Okay, so we will begin tonight's meeting with special announcements and presentations. We will have our friends and the students from Wayne Westland Community Schools come up for the first part of special announcements and presentations.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Fawnin, Supervisor of Social Emotional Learning for Wayne Westland Community Schools, and I'm here to present our last 3 Compassion Project students for this school year. So our first student that I'm going to ask to come up from Hamilton Elementary is Maishawn Stinson. Maishawn, if you can come up here. And joining Maishawn today is Principal Kelly Michaels and School Social Worker Laura Wilson. Maishawn was nominated by Janet Peters, who is a parapro at Hamilton Elementary School. And let me see, Janet said, Maishawn checked in with my student who has special needs, asking the student if he and his parapro were okay while they were having a hard day. Maishawn's principal, Mrs. Michaels, reports that Maishawn often checks in on them. So thank you for your random act of kindness. And our next student from Hamilton Elementary School is Riley Quinn. Riley, if you can come on up here and join us. So Riley was nominated by her teacher, Crystal Cover, and Mrs. Cover said Riley made bookmarks for her whole class. She is always stepping up to help others without being asked. Thank you for your random act of kindness, Riley. Okay, and our next student from Wayne Westland Innovative Academy is Ariel Sinkler. And Ariel is joined today by a lot of her staff, Mr. Kente Rosser, principal, Mrs. Kelly Villa, assistant principal, Chris Swanson, virtual programs administrator and assistant principal, Ms. Bozarth, English teacher, and Ms. Mushtaba, school social worker. So you have a lot of support today. And Ariel's random act of kindness is that she's always willing to work with new people in her class as well as help her peers. She will share her notes and resources as well as encourage her peers to do their best and to step out of their comfort zone. Thank you for your random act of kindness. And so now members of our Westland City Council are going to come down and present our students with certificates.
City Council. Excellent. And on 3, Thank you.
All right, wonderful to honor our students as always. They're going to go outside and take some more photos. We will now have our second special announcement and presentation. We will have a legislative update from our state representative, Dylan Wagella.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Representative.
All right. First off, just wanted to say, for those of you who don't know me, I'm state representative for the southeast portion of Westland. District 26 also has Garden City, Inkster, and Northeast Romulus. The districts are new, and we're going into our second cycle on them. First thing, I have some upcoming coffee hours. This Thursday, May 9th at the Radcliffe Center in Garden City from 5:30 to 6:30. We'll have a coffee hour. I have a coffee hour there every second Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 6:30. Later in the month, on May 18th, Saturday, I will have a coffee hour in Westland at the Jefferson Barnes Vitality Center from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. So hopefully see you all out there, and those in the audience would love for you to come by. A couple quick things. Thanks to the special elections we just had, the House is whole again. We have all of the seats seated, and with that comes a Democratic majority back in power. And I say that because over the last several months, we've been at a 54-54 split, and to put it plainly, we had members of the opposing party voting against their own bills to stall progress. But that is just the reality that we live in politics these days, I guess. It's budget season, and that's going to be the main focus over the next several months. So I look forward to giving you an update once we get a little deeper into that. And I actually wanted to come and tell the council that I've broken a record in my first term. That record is that I've voted against more tax breaks for corporations than any Democrat in the history of Michigan. I believe that our tax dollars and revenue should go towards things in the community, roads, schools, et cetera. So I'm really proud of that. I promised to vote against tax subsidies for corporations when I ran for office, and I've stayed so true to that I've broken a record in 1 year. Additionally, my office introduced pieces of legislation that I think are fundamentally important to changing the way that we do politics in Michigan. I worked with a coalition of 10 grassroots organizations. I'll name a few: Voters Not Politicians, League of Conservation Voters, Sierra Club, Detroit Action, Moses Action, Emergent Justice, among others, and Michigan United, to introduce bills that would ban monopoly corporations from donating in secret or dark money pathways. Specifically, I've been taking on DTE with this issue. DTE spends more on political spending than any corporation in the state of Michigan. And that is, in my view, one of the reasons rates keep rising and that the grid is not being fixed. It's because politicians in Lansing, 93% of them who take corporate dollars from them, have been influenced. That being said, we introduced this legislation, and we are going to have a town hall at some point in the next coming months, so please keep an eye out on that, and I'll come back and be able to announce that. But we're moving forward, and I hope to bring, hopefully can convince one of you to introduce a local resolution to support the Taking Back Our Power pledge and ban these monopoly corporations and their influence. All that aside, just want to leave my contact information out there. If you want to contact my office, it's Dylan Wagella, DYLANWEGELA, at house.mi.gov. Our phone number is 517-373-3818. And if you go to repwagella.com, you can sign up for our email list. We've been trying to grow it. Started at 100 when I was in office. I've been door knocking and adding people to the list. I think we're closer to 250 now, but there's 90,000 people in the district. So please sign up for our email list. Yeah, that's all that I had. I don't know if you can ask questions. Some councils work differently.
We don't usually. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We will now move on to questions or input on the agenda from the public. This section will allow members of the public at the beginning of the meeting to address the council regarding items that are on tonight's business agenda. Questions asked may be responded to during the agenda item following a motion and support from your Westland City Council. Is there anyone on my left comment on tonight's agenda? Yes, ma'am. And please remember when you do come up to state your name and city of residence.
My name is Judith Yates, and I'm here on behalf of Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church of Westland. And I am again here before you to make a plea for funding for our summer youth program. When I came the last time, I shared what our mission was for that program, and that's to provide the youth of Westland and the surrounding communities with a safe, productive, fun environment for the summer. We endeavor to provide classes, activities, and guest speakers who can equip our youth with the tools that they need to succeed. Our curriculum focuses on self-development, character building, citizenship, and practical skills. We also strive to expose our youth to activities and places that they would not normally have an opportunity to experience. Our goal for this summer is to take our kids on a 2-day trip to Washington, D.C. So again, your funding of our program would enable us to do that. I have a contingency here with me today, as you can see. Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church is in the house to show their support for this program. Thank you.
All right, public comment on the agenda. Anyone on my right? Anyone on my left? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Samples. I'm also on behalf of Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church of Westland. And greetings to each of you, the mayor and distinguished members of the council. If I could understand, each person has a moment of 3 minutes to speak.
Yes,
Just confirming that.
and your time has started, yes.
Yep, so I just wanted to ask on behalf of Pastor Duckworth, who was unable to attend this evening on Gethsemane, he gave me a letter to read, and was wondering if I could read that letter briefly and then share my own personal comments.
Your 3 minutes, yep, you're welcome to read that letter.
Thank you. So as Pastor Duckworth has written, he wants to thank you for the opportunity to share his perspective. He also would like to give his support for the recommendation of the appointment of Mr. Delano Hornbuckle for the open seat. His support of Mr. Hornbuckle is the same as it was in February when he came to support that initial appointment. He believes that Mr. Hornbuckle has proven himself to be a vital person in Westland, and he's thrilled for the potential of his return to serve this great city. Dr. Duckworth is also honored to support the block grant to help our summer youth camp. To share with you, for the last 21 years, Gethsemane has held summer youth camps. Even during the pandemic, we held virtual camps. We have previously and unsuccessfully sought financial support through previous block grants on behalf of the city of Westland. We have never been awarded a block grant, and yet we have kept our focus and our efforts on offering a positive influence and learning opportunities for the youth within our community during the summer months. The summer youth program is also a great opportunity for many of our vibrant seniors within our church to offer their time and their wisdom as they volunteer at our summer youth camp. Many of them look forward to having the opportunity to still serve with a purpose and the opportunity to assist our youth. Year after year, we have been committed to doing the very best we can, but we are often limited in our resources of exposing these youth to the world beyond our 5-mile radius. The awarding of this grant will allow us to expand our efforts and their exposure to a broader perspective on life. Again, I'd like to thank the City Council and their support of the decision to help us. Please keep in mind that we are primarily serving a section of Westland, the Annapolis Park and Carver subdivision, that is often overlooked, underserved, and neglected. So we're looking forward to continuing our partnership with the City of Westland to achieve the goals of helping our future, the youth. And as on behalf of Reverend Dr. Johnny Duckworth, our pastor. And I didn't see the timer, if I still have time, I just wanted to make this comment on my behalf. I serve as a trustee at the church, and many times I know organizations, municipalities, they look at dollars, they look at spending, and it falls into one of two categories, an investment or an expense. And I want you all to consider this to be an investment, because this goes to the youth. and the youth are our future. An expense is something that there's no return. If you help the youth.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
That's why I was asking if I had two people to speak by half.
Oh, the 3 minutes, that's it. And the 3 minutes is up. Thank you.
All right. Consider this as an investment. Thank you.
Continuing on with public comment, is there anyone else on my right? Yes, sir.
James Godfroy from Westland, and I would like either the mayor or the legal department to express how they got the $25,000 not using taxpayer money, because they can't use taxpayer money because it's by law, it's illegal. So I wish somebody would explain to them how we did it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else, public comment on the agenda on my left? Yes, sir.
My name is Bishop Luke McClendon. I'm pastor of Christ Temple Apostolic Church here in the city of Westland. I've been pastoring that church for 28 years, 30 years if you include the 2 years that I was interim pastor. And I've been a resident of Westland for 45 years. I'm here on this evening representing our community center, which is the Samuel B. Ware Neighborhood Care and Development Center. I want to say greetings to our Honorable Mayor, Kevin Coleman, and greetings to all our distinguished city council members. So I've been serving as the board president and overseeing the Samuel B. Ware Neighborhood and Care Development Center since 2004. So that's a total of 19 years, if you include this year, 25 years. And our program director, in the person of Dolores Flowers, was honored with the City of Westland's MLK Leadership Excellence Award during the 2023 MLK Martin Luther King Jr. ceremony. And Ms. Flowers has been our community liaison person 15 of the 19 years we've been in operations, and we are extremely proud of Dolores' continued contributions to our community efforts. And we look forward to serving our community for many more years to come. I just want to briefly mention some of the contributions of our community center. Samuel B. Ware Community Center and Christ Temple Apostolic Church Fellowship Hall serve as the 28th voting precinct for the city of Westland. The pastor of Christ Temple, which is myself, also board president. I'm board president of the Samuel B. Ware Community Center. I volunteer as one of 3 civil service board commissioners for the City of Westland Police and Fire Commission, and also volunteer as a sworn chaplain in the Wayne County Sheriff Department. The Samuel B. Ware Community Center operates on an annual basis as a spring and summer camp program for children in the community between ages 16 and 15 years of age. The program offers intellectual, artistic, physical, and social development for children, along with field trips and other activities to promote growth to become productive citizens. Children who have participated in the Samuel B. Ware Community Center programs are now adults write letters to me, the center's director, and the mayor of the city of Westland of how the community enrich their lives. The Samuel B. Ware Community Center also on an annual basis distribute clothing, shoes, and food to children and adults, to toys.
Bishop, your time is up.
And adults to children.
Thank you.
So I just want to say thank you and wanted to share those items with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Public comment on the agenda. Anyone else on my right wishing to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Deja Bendoff. I'm speaking on behalf of Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church in Westland on behalf of our summer camp program. I was an attendee from 2014 to 2016. I was also a summer camp leader, and I just want to say that the program was and is transformative. It gave me a lot of the skills that I have carried with me throughout life today. Currently, I'm a third grade teacher in Ypsilanti, and a lot of the experiences that I had as a summer camp leader definitely shaped the teacher that I am today. It taught me how to work with different personalities, different needs, problem-solving skills, communication skills, how to be empathetic, how to be sympathetic. It just taught me so much, and I believe that it's a program that our city needs, or that Westland needs, and it is a program that can benefit the youth significantly. It is something that I still think about and carry with me to this day. 10 years, wow, 2014, 2024, yeah, 10 years, I feel so old. And only 25, but 10 years from now, it is something that is very near and dear to me. So I wanted to take the time to come out and briefly speak on it. I hope that what I said was impactful. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else, public comment on my left? Yes, ma'am. We got it this time.
Hello, my name is Brooklyn Woolen, and I am a current Westland resident. I came here today to suggest an idea that will improve our community. Investing in a recreational center with an outdoor community pool will benefit people of all ages. The Old Bailey Recreational Center offered many classes and inclusive activities for people of all ages and is very well missed. First and foremost, no one over
yeah.
12 has anything to do.
So there is a time for
Oh.
public comment.
Oh, I'm
So this is
sorry.
on agenda items only.
Okay,
So is
should I?
this getting, if there's something specific regarding what's on the agenda, that's the time to comment here. Otherwise, we do have public comment at the end of the meeting.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
I'll wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
We do look forward to
I
hearing.
wonder what
Yes.
she's gonna say.
Is there anyone else on my right for public comment on the agenda items only? Anyone else on my left? Yes, sir.
I grew up down the street from Yosemite. I've never been a member. But she said 10 years ago, I feel like a dinosaur. We moved there in 78. Yeah. And I don't know if it was a program like what you guys have on the agenda, or if the church used their own money. I don't know, but they had lunch programs, and they had games and summer programs even back then. Before y'all got the big brick in front of the building. I rode my bike through there. And I want to let you guys know that some of us chose trouble. Instead of breaking windows and breaking into cars, you could go down there and see bikes and skateboards parked outside the church. Now, it was the lunch that got us there. They had pretty good lunch. But it was the talk, and it was the games and the attention to the young people that kept us there. So we got used to seeing bikes parked out there. And I mean some cool ones, Huffy, and some of you guys might know them bikes. But anyway, if there's a program that helps children, please take into consideration that it takes a village to be able to award children like the ones you did there today, where your city stretched real far. And I believe you take care of that city from one border to the next. So please, take this into consideration. I'm a product of what you guys are doing now. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. I would have never came here in a million years. But I heard that this was going to be on the agenda. So I took time out of my day from working on a 79 El Camino to come up and let you guys know that if a guy that rode his bicycle back then benefited from that program, then these babies can do it today.
Public comment on the agenda, only. Anyone else on my right? Anyone else on my left? Yes, ma'am. Yep, right.
Which man?
Oh, no, the Green Tiger's hat is who I called on.
Good afternoon. Well, good evening. My name is Mary Gaines. I'm a resident of Westland Carver Subdivision, a member of Southeast Westland Homeowners Association, and also a member of the Community Development Advisory Committee. I just want to put my, I'll call it my 2 cents in on how important youth programs are in our neighborhood. The summertime is when I sit on my porch, drink my coffee, and enjoy watching children out playing. And that's what I see at the churches in my neighborhood. The kids are having fun, and they're having fun, organized fun. So I think it's very important that our youth of today, with all the negativity in the world, that they continue to have positive people around them that care and are there for them and take the time to make them become who they are. So summer is about our children and about their well-being and organized fun. So thank you for this time.
Is there anyone else on my right wishing to speak public comment on the agenda? Okay. Yes, ma'am, we'll get to you right away.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dolores Flowers, and I am the program director for the Samuel B. Ware Community Center, among some of the things that I do for Westland. And I've been running this program for a little over 15 years now. We started with just the beginning of having parents come and bring their children to a safe place. And also then we went into hiring young people to be junior counselors and teaching them about how to act and how to present themselves on jobs, etc. We taught those children. I have some booklets. I started to pass them out to you to let you see. We documented everything that we did as far as in pictures in order for persons to see that I was not playing about where we took the children, what they were learning, how they were being taught, and whom they were being taught by. And I'd like for it to continue because we've been doing it, like I said, we started out with 30 kids, doing 30 kids until the pandemic came, and we had to back up, you know that. But 30 children, I couldn't believe that I was doing that, along with some good help, trust me. And well, we did it, and we still do it. We still do it today, just like this March, when the children were out of school. I had about 15, 16 kids, and we had persons to teach them how to build, use their hands, No, the boys weren't able to do all their basketball playing, but they got it. But what I'm saying is that it's about teaching them how to be respectful of one another. That's why I have the police department. I have the different persons from here in Westland, as far as dignitaries, to come and speak to the children, talk to them about how to present themselves and what to do and what not to do. And the fire department, taking them to all these different places, but most of all, taking them out into the public and showing them how they're supposed to act and how they're supposed to be, regardless of what's going on, and do not be followers, but learn how to be a leader of the right things. And this is what I teach them, that's what I walk and I talk. And now, all those young people that I spoke of, I'm saying all of them because it's almost true. All of them have graduated from college, the ones who were being taught, from the time they were 14 until they graduated from high school. They have graduated from college, they're working their jobs. The different mayors have the different information on some of them because I had them to write some things. But that's what I would like to say, that I tried calling all of them. You didn't want them all up in here, but one day I will have them and let them know that we were here doing this today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your time. Thank you. All right, public comment. Anyone else on my right? Anyone else on my left wishing to speak? Public comment on the agenda. Okay, Here. Oh, okay. Come on, Mr. Warren.
Arthur Warren, actually president of Southeast Westland Homeowners Association, and some people call me a community leader. There are two proposals in your package. There's administration's proposal and there's the community's proposal. The administration proposal is to cut funding for the two programs. The Community Block Grant Advisory Committee is not to cut any monies. The city administration is in a position that is unwilling to invest in the children of our community by cutting the funds. Now, it will be up to the legislative here to decide whether it's a meaningful investment in the children of the South End. Two, most of the community block grant funds in the city's proposal is to fortify the administration, not to fortify the two communities that the program is supposed to serve, the Norwayne community and the Carver subdivision. The committee's position is that most of those funds should materialize in the community for infrastructure issues and other issues that we have, not to support the police department, code enforcement, and all these other entities. We're not community block grant funds. We're destined for the city to be a piggy bank. The main focus why HUD sends those monies here is to fortify community development, okay? And the clear question is that we wouldn't even have to be here if the city had something to offer for us. Wouldn't have to be here, but the city has no alternative. If they want to take money out of these programs, then they should have an alternative for us to go to. So, I'm Ms. Christine Worm, who represents the Norwayne community, and I represent the Southeast community. We've brought the sentiments of the community to you and what they want. And so what I would be asking for council to do is to not approve anything and send us back to the table. Send us back to the table so we can have a more equitable and diverse proposal for the city. With input, because the input of the citizens who have been talking to us over the years is not in the administration's proposal. It is anti-community. So I just want to put that out there. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Council President.
Mayor?
Thank you. So I want to start just with some clarity. And thank you to all the speakers and everybody from Gethsemane and Samuel B. Ware that came out tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here on a Monday night and to advocate for your community. A little bit of clarity on the budget. CDBG funding has been traditionally used throughout the city of Westland. The majority of the funding is allocated for the Carver subdivision and the Norwayne community. If you look at the way the funding's broken up, the majority of the funding is spent there, which is clear. The summer youth program at Gethsemane, I fully support the council's proposal to spend $25,000 in ARPA funding. I think it's a positive investment for the community. I think it's investing in young people, and I'm very in support of it. And I know there was a gentleman that asked the question, can we use tax dollars for a grant in such a way? Yes, we can. And I'll have the city attorney address that momentarily. But I just wanted to vocalize my support for that program. I also support grant funding for the Samuel B. Ware Community Center as well. And if the council decides to adjust that funding scale, I'll support the council's decision on that. And that's how this budget process works. We have study sessions throughout the spring where we move the numbers around quite a bit, and we're not at the end of that process to vote on the budget tonight for the overall city budget. We did have it on the agenda tonight to vote on community block grant funding. But I suspect that the council may want to adjust those numbers or have more conversation about it, and we'll see how that goes. But I did want to talk about investments in Norwayne, the Carver subdivision, and Annapolis Park. My administration is going to be investing more in those communities than we've seen in a long time. I've been a very strong supporter of the Jefferson Barnes Community Vitality Center. If you drive down to Annapolis Park, you'll see upgrades going on today already. I was down there today at Saddlemeyer Park. I'm specifically asking for more speed humps throughout the Annapolis Park subdivision due to the amount of traffic violations and speeding and dangerous driving that's gone on there. I've asked our deputy mayor to work on lighting upgrades in the neighborhoods in that region of the city. And also, we're working with DTE to install new traffic lighting on Middlebelt Road. And there's quite a few other initiatives that I'm going to be looking at starting in that area of town. So I just want to add, I wanted to add some clarity and my support for what you're advocating for tonight. And I, again, appreciate you coming out and talking tonight. But I wanted to give our city attorney a chance to answer the gentleman's question as well.
Thank you, Mayor.
Normally, we would wait till the end of the meeting to answer that, so we will wait till the end of the meeting to follow procedure as normal. But we will get an answer to that question. Okay. Public comment on the agenda. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak? Yes?
Christina Worm. I am the chair of the Norwayne Community Citizens Council and a Westland resident. So I did want to address, because I am also on the Citizens Advisory for the Community Block Grant, I do request that we do spend more time on this, have more of a session to discuss the appropriations of funding. I do appreciate that we're looking to spend more in the community. We have a lot of problems and a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and I think our community needs to see a lot more of the action coming in. We've asked a lot of very specific questions. We've asked for invoicing. We've asked for how are these funds spent. We haven't gotten a lot of answers to a lot of the questions. So we really would appreciate being able to spend more time diversifying the funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak? Yes, Ray. And Ray, is this on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to talk about that grant, too, that $25,000. When Arthur and Christie was up here, I'm also on that community board, too, and there's not a lot of answers to it, and I think that it should be looked at. That's a lot, to me, it's a lot of money to be filtering out. So I just want to share that, because it's not, they're not telling us, you know, and we want to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on the agenda items? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
There's a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Rakowski. There is support from Pro Tem Sampe. Is there any discussion with the maker?
Yes, please, Council President. I would like to move item K to new business. And I'll reserve the rest of my time, because I know I have colleagues that have comment.
Okay.
K to new business 1A.
1A, yes.
Is that all right?
Correct, Mr. Clerk. There's a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Rakowski to move item K to new business item 1A, supported by Councilwoman Baumann. Is there any discussion from the maker? Any discussion from the supporter? Yes.
Yeah, I apologize. It's, yeah, there's not discussion on us moving any items off of
Oh, it just gets
consent.
moved, right.
Additionally, I think there's some other removals from consent that I at least would like to make, but I know
Okay.
that there's other individuals who've made that sentiment.
Okay,
Yeah, because you made the motion, otherwise you could have said items K and G.
so we'll have to have a vote on item K, and then we'll have to do the next one. All right, on item K, moving to new business item 1A, roll call.
Councilwoman Baumann.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Wishart. Yes. Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Item K will be 1A.
Council President,
Yes.
I'd like to move item G to new business.
Is there support?
Support.
There is a motion on the floor to move item G to new business by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilwoman Rakowski. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Baumann.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item G will be new business 1B.
Council President,
Yes.
I would also like to move item J to new business 1C, please.
Support.
There's a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Rakowski to move item J to new business item 1C, supported by Pro Tem Sampe. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Baumann.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Consent J will be new business 1C.
Okay, returning to the consent calendar, is there any additional discussion? Any additional discussion? Any changes to the consent calendar? Any changes? Hearing and seeing none? Any dissent? Sorry. Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries.
Council has approved the following consent calendar items, and if I mess up, jump in. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting held April 15, 2024. Approval of minutes of the study session, budget study session held April 20, 2024, and April 27, 2024. Request from TNT Fireworks to operate a seasonal temporary fireworks tent in the shopping center located at 35645 Warren Road, June 25 through July 6, 2024, operating 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. This request includes a waiver from Ordinance 248A80, Section 413C1, which states the length of a temporary use or sales event shall not exceed 7 days during a season, except that Christmas trees are permitted for up to 45 days. Request from Tim Sumter, Big Sky Fireworks, to operate a seasonal temporary fireworks tent in the parking lot at 6561 Wayne Road, June 28 through July 4, 2024, with the hours of operation 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. 1 second. Approval of bid for professional services related to document scanning. Administration recommended Global Solutions Group in an amount not to exceed $149,900. Approval of annual workforce management subscription with Tyler Technologies Incorporated. The subscription term shall be for 1 year in an amount not to exceed $15,619.13. Approval of renewal of the city's existing financial management system with BS&A software. This is for a 1 year period in an amount not to exceed $111,041. Approval of request from the Wayne Westland Community School District and PD Graham Elementary School to waive the administrative fees for rental of the Westland Farmers Market to host a back-to-school meet and greet event on August 21, 2024, 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. The last item approved on the consent calendar today, adoption of a prepared resolution to proclaim the week of May 19, 2024, Public Works Week in the city of Westland. Moving to payment of voucher.
So moved. Support.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Rakowski, supported by Pro Tem Sampe. Is there any discussion from the maker?
No, thank you.
Any discussion from the supporter? Any additional discussion from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries.
New business. Item 1, approval of minutes of the study session held April 27, 2024.
So moved. Support.
There's a motion on the floor from
No.
Pro Tem.
You have to abstain. You're going to be abstaining from this one.
Is there support?
Support.
There's a motion on the floor from Pro Tem Sampe, supported by Councilwoman Baumann. Is there any discussion from the maker? Any discussion from the supporter?
Just a clarification, it's April 29th. I think I heard April 27th.
You did hear April 27.
He did say that, okay, yeah.
It is correctly listed as the 29th on the packet.
Yes.
Okay, is there any additional discussion from the council? Any dissent? Roll call.
Councilwoman Baumann.
Yes.
Councilman Hart. Yes. Councilwoman Rakowski.
Abstain due to absence.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right. Give me an item, a minute rather, as we get to new business 1A, formerly known as K. Adoption of prepared resolution authorizing the allocation of American Rescue Plan Act funds for Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church Summer Youth Program support in an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Support.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilwoman Rakowski. Is there any discussion from the maker?
Yes,
Councilman.
briefly, Council President. I'd like to thank my colleagues for supporting my request to have this on this agenda. We asked for it at the last meeting when our friends from Gethsemane came here and explained what they were trying to do. I thought it was while we discuss the CDBG block grants in the future here, the allocation for the ARPA was the quickest, fastest way to go ahead and handle it, and in my mind, that's what the ARPA funds were for. So I'd like to thank my colleagues, and I ask for all your support as well. Thank you.
And from the supporter.
Thank you. Just to clarify, the reason I moved this is because I didn't want it to go through consent without having any sort of distinction, so that the wonderful members of the church and their requests can be heard and witnessed by everyone. I didn't want it just to be thrown in with the consent things. Anything that we do that can change a child's life is of the utmost importance. And though this came through to us by way of a discussion of the CDBG allocation, again, echoing my colleagues' statements, when we had the ARPA money available, we could expedite this program, make sure that the children have the funding that they need. And, I was one of those kids that didn't get the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. So the idea that, there will be beautiful children from our city being able to go on this once-in-a-lifetime, perhaps, adventure, and to witness the history of our nation is important. But more important to me is the fact that, the relationship with their elders and the relationship that they have with their community in the future. And I think we saw a great testimony of that from several people. So I would ask for your support as well.
Great, thank you. Did you have discussion? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Hart, too. Last meeting, he brought this up, and my email popped up, and instantly I said yes, like right away, yes. So I want to thank everyone that came here today and spoke in support of this, because there was a gentleman that said it takes a village, and it really does. As a mom myself and working mom at that, you have a lot of people in your life that are influential, and to host a program that allows them to develop mind, body, and soul and be in connection with, with others in the community, that's what it's all about. So thank you for coming here to speak, because I applaud each and every one of you that have given your Monday night and to speak in changing children's lives, because truly that is the deepest gift is our future, which is our kids. So I wholeheartedly support this. I hope my colleagues do, but I just want to applaud each and every one of you and give you the biggest hug, because I think that you guys are here to change lives, and so are we. So thank you again.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I want to first say that, yes, I am in support of this. I actually, when you came the last time, I think what moved me a lot was the stories of success, because one of the things that's really important to see is, like, when you invest in something and then you hear what happened afterwards, okay, coming back, like the rest of the story, so to speak, who's used it? I can't remember the name, I'm blanking on names, and one of the ones that really, like Isle Royale, I think you mentioned that you guys went to Isle Royale, I think, if I remember correctly, or something like that, like another year, and that one just really was like, oh my gosh, that's exciting. Most people don't get to go there, especially at a younger age. So I will definitely, I'm very much in support of this. I do have a question through the chair. Just because of the way that this was done, and I know that we're looking at the CDBG grant as well, is there a difference in terminology between amount not to exceed and up to 25,000? I just want to make sure that we're not, if we're allocating ARPA money, it's a little bit different because we have to have it allocated by the end of this year and utilized by next year. And I know that there's some things, so I just want to make clarification on the wording on that.
So, right, we have to allocate the funds and it will be spent by, they're taking the trip this year, so the funds will be spent for the ARPA allocation.
Is there a difference in the
the
terminology between not to exceed and up to? I just want to make sure.
In case they don't take the complete.
If they don't take the full amount, then that money would go back in the pot for ARPA and would be up to the council to deliberate and reallocate.
I think
If it's not if it's allocated before the end of this year, we don't get to allocate it again next year.
If it's allocated towards that project, right?
Understood.
And then not all spent on the project.
We'd have to allocate it again before the end of 2024. I'm
But
just saying
yes,
we have that.
yes, the allocation has to be
So,
before the end of 2024.
I just want to make sure that any wording is supportive of that. So I didn't know if not to exceed or up to. Again, I just want to make sure that we're doing good, but not.
I believe we're using the correct language
Okay,
here. in
just
this-
making sure.
In this resolution.
If I may.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I'm just seeking clarity. I think what I'm understanding, and forgive me if I'm incorrect, you are talking about us approving 25,000, but they're also represented in the CUDBG for, I think it was a $10,000 allocation. So that's where your unrest lies?
I just want to make sure we have the wording right, that we're not, yes. I mean, we'll have to look at the CDBG.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to make it just.
Do you want to jump on this?
I think.
The ask was for 25.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they get that.
I want them to get that too, but.
If I'm, sorry.
Council, if I may.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. So we had a couple questions on this. One, I'll turn over to Brandon Grisco, our city attorney. The other, I'll turn over to Finance Director Steve Smith.
Brandon, if you want to.
Sure. I wasn't sure who was going first there, so I apologize for that. So the mayor's asked me to give a response to a question that was raised pertinent to using these dollars for the youth activities being proposed here. So I just wanted to identify that these are federal dollars. These aren't like local property tax dollars or anything like that. So there's a little bit of a difference in some cases in rules and regulations and things like that that would apply with respect to federal dollars and where the source funding is coming from and which strings are attached and things of that nature. In this case, it's specific to the American Rescue Plan Act and specifically the state and local fiscal recovery fund program, which the city's identified as being for transformational programs. There's a number of eligible use categories, but two of those categories would be to respond to the negative economic impacts and the negative health impacts as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And then another one of those eligible use categories could be providing government services up to the amount of revenue loss. So the city, I believe, has used both those eligible use categories in the past. And certainly you have, at least the folk here have represented that they've underserved communities, minority community, and I think there really isn't any dispute that some of those communities were disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And I do want to draw a distinction, too, that this is not the same as a case of, say, the city making a donation of public funds to a private organization or anything like that. Rather, I think what we have here is youth programs and youth activities, which is an activity that the city engages in itself, and so which would, the city would be able to expend funds to accomplish purposes through a third party that it also would be able to accomplish on its own. And so I think that responds to the question as to how do you use these funds, which are federal SLFRF funds, for the purpose of youth programming and things like that, so.
Okay. And then, Director Smith, if you wanted to take the question regarding the wording of the allocation?
Sure, through the chair. Yes, up to and not to exceed, in terms you can use interchangeably. It means the same thing. So up to or not to exceed 25,000. So, and the CDBG allocation of 10,000 is a separate allocation.
Thank you. Councilwoman, does that answer your question?
It does. I actually would like to make, if it's possible, one amendment to the document.
This is the item,
This is still on the same thing.
Okay.
On the resolution, I would like to make an amendment that we actually correct the abbreviation for ARPA to be ARPA, not ARAP.
it says ARPA.
No, if you go to page, whatever page this is, it says, whereas ARAP requires, and then later on it says ARAP, there's another spot. I would like to reflect to say ARPA.
That's an administrative change we can make.
Okay,
It's just a
making
typo
sure.
we can
Okay,
make.
so
We don't need to
that's
make a
fine.
formal amendment on
That's
that.
fine. I want,
Yep.
It's gotta
we
be
can do
right.
that. Yep, we can do that on the back end. Thank you.
Call the question.
Okay. There is a call to question.
Support.
There's support from Councilman Hart.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Baumann.
yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Congratulations.
There you go.
Steve, go write their check.
We'll grab it on the way out.
Moving to new business, item 1B, which is G on your agenda. Approval of contractor agreement for police station lobby enhancement project. Administration recommends Soleil Construction in an amount not to exceed $200,000.
So moved.
Support.
Who moved that?
He moved it
Oh.
himself.
Okay,
And then supported by Councilwoman Rakowski.
got it.
I have no discussion at this moment. Is there any discussion from the supporter?
Yeah. Do you mind?
By all means, Councilwoman.
Okay. So item G, now new item 1B, is a request for the council to approve a contract agreement with Soleil Construction to make enhancements to our police station lobby, not to exceed $200,000. The unreadiness that I personally have is that this is a request that was made during the budget session for the 2024-25 budget. So we haven't approved that budget yet. And for us to be making any sort of allocations, spending money for a budget that hasn't been approved would be foolhardy and would not be a responsible act from this council. So it would be at this moment that I would ask for this line item to be postponed until after the annual budget has been approved. So that's a
You're
motion.
making a motion to postpone.
That is a motion.
Support.
There's a motion on the floor to postpone new business item 1B, supported by Councilman Hart. Is there any discussion on the motion to postpone? Yes, Pro Tem. This is on the motion to postpone. No. Ma'am, a motion to postpone, a motion to postpone would take this item off the agenda for a future agenda. Yes, Pro Tem.
Thank you. So I have a question
to the administration, if they could provide clarity, if this is,
We have a motion to postpone.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
so can administration talk about if it's in the budget or not?
Technically, we have to debate, we have to debate in the motion to postpone.
Yeah, we'll discuss
Yes.
that, and I want administration to
Yes.
cover that. Okay, yes, I support that then.
Okay. So we're on the motion to postpone. Yes, and there's support for the motion to postpone. We need to have a
Yes.
roll call on the motion to postpone. Yes, so that's,
That's fine.
okay, yeah, so they can discuss it if they want later. Okay, there is a motion on the floor to postpone. New business item 1B, there is support for that item. Is there any discussion on the motion to postpone? Any discussion on the motion to postpone? Roll call.
Councilwoman Baumann.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
No.
Motion passes. Item 1B is postponed. I would ask for clarification, because if you said when, I missed it.
Yes, I would gladly clarify it. I asked for this item to be postponed, and this would be in regards to the backup documents that mention that this is a budgetary item for the 2024-25 budget, which has yet to be passed.
Okay.
So
just-
until that budget has been passed, then we can bring this back.
Right.
It's not a tabling action, it's a postponement.
Got it. All right, moving to new business, item 1C, which was item J on the consent calendar. Approval of cybersecurity training agreement with CG Silvers Consulting. Training includes 3 separate week-long training sessions at a total cost not to exceed $15,100.
So moved.
Support.
There's a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Rakowski, supported by Councilman Hart. Is there any discussion from the, yes?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to IT Director Brown, I had the luxury of asking him this question earlier, but I wanted to have clarity for the rest of my colleagues as well as the members of the audience. What appears in our packet with the amount for $15,100 is actually for 3 different types of training. But Director Brown, you did clarify that this is not an expenditure, but rather a preferred vendor situation. So we're not spending this money today.
Through the chair, yes, this is not where we're going to be allocating funds. We're not asking for any type of funds to do any type of training at this particular juncture. All this is for us to have an agreement with CG Silvers Consulting for future cybersecurity training. It allows us to lock in negotiated pricing now, so we save money down the road when we do decide that we want to do training. The agreement has 3 different levels of training available. If I remember correctly, it's a half-day training class, a 1-day training class, and a week-long training class. So this is strictly a preferred vendor agreement or scope of work. It has no allocations for funds. We're not purchasing anything. We're not agreeing to purchase anything at all. Now or going forward, it's strictly to get us preferred negotiated pricing to save the city some funds.
Thank you, Director Brown. That satisfies my question.
Okay. Was there any discussion from the supporter?
None for me, Council.
Okay. Any additional discussion from the council? Yep, Councilwoman? No. Oh, I thought you were doing it. Pro Tem.
Thank you. Through the chair to Director Brown, so one of the levels is in the amount of $11,000 for a week-long training. Personally, that gives me heartburn. Is there any possibility that we could do a day-long training for $3,000 or the half-day for $1,100 and forego the $11,000 week-long training?
So through the chair, again, this is just to give us levels of pricing available. We're not obligated to do any particular training whatsoever. So if we want to do like a series of 3 half-day trainings a year from now, more power to us. If we want to do a 1-day training and no other training, more power to us. If we don't want to do any training, we have that option also. This is strictly to get us negotiated pricing for multiple levels of training that we can take advantage of if we decide to take advantage of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any additional discussion from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries.
All right. We are at new business item 2. This is nominations to fill the office of city council member during the unexpired term created by the resignation of Councilman Hersberg until certification of the November 4, 2025 general city election.
Council President, I wish to nominate Delana Hornbuckle.
Okay, there's a nomination on the floor for Delana Hornbuckle.
I'd like to nominate Josh Powell.
Okay, there's a nomination for Josh Powell. I'd like to nominate John Sullivan. Any additional nominations?
Motion to close nominations.
Motion to close nominations.
Support.
Is supported. Motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilwoman Rakowski.
Give me 1 second, please. Thank you. Take a roll call,
Yes.
take a no
Yes.
dissent, whatever.
And is there any
To close
discussion on the motion to close
nominations.
nominations? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries.
All right. So, for the benefit of those who have not witnessed this before, council policies and procedures dictate that the clerk shall write the names of all nominees on a rectangular piece of paper, place them into a box, unfolded, and then draw from them which represents an order to be voted. A motion is not required for that vote to occur. And if a person receives a majority vote, in this case, that would be 4 affirmative votes, that person will be appointed city council member. If there are names remaining after that, those names are not given consideration. So I'm going to write the names.
No, ma'am, sorry, we cannot take questions at this time. People came up and talked to us and expressed interest in being in city council, but we're running the meeting. If you have comments during public comment, we can address that.
All right, I have a box. I've used it in the past. One name, Delano Hornbuckle, goes in the box. Next name, Josh Powell, goes in the box. The third and final name goes in the box, John Sullivan. All right, we'll give it a good shake. Without looking, I'm going to draw them, which will represent the order in which they are voted. First name drawn, Delano Hornbuckle. They're not folded, it's kind of hard. Second name is Josh Powell. Third and final name, John Sullivan. Yeah, the box is empty. Oops, sorry. I'm going to retire that box, I promise, after this one. All right. Mr. President, with your permission, we'll go to roll call.
Roll call.
The first name to be considered for appointment to city council is Delano Hornbuckle. Councilwoman Baumann.
No.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Delano Hornbuckle is your next councilman. Congratulations. And personally, I'd like to thank everybody that's gone through this process. The remaining names do fall off. Recess?
You want to recess?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, we'll take a 5-minute recess while he swears in Councilman Hornbuckle. And we will resume here at 8:15. It is 8:19. We will call the meeting back to order.
New business, item 4, with 7 sworn council members. Nomination of member to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term effective upon confirmation and to expire May 6, 2027. Christina Worm has submitted a letter requesting consideration for appointment to the ZBA.
Council President?
Yes.
Wish to nominate Christina Worm.
Okay?
Second.
Motion to
Nope.
close.
There's no support needed for this one.
Motion to close nomination.
There's a motion to close nominations.
Support.
There's support. Is there any discussion on the motion to close nominations? Maker. Any discussion from the supporter? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, nominations are closed.
New business, item 5, appointment of member to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term effective upon confirmation and to expire May 6, 2027. Christina Worm has been nominated.
So moved.
Support.
There's a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Rakowski, supported from Pro Tem Sampe. Is there any discussion from the maker?
Thank you, Council President. I would just like to express my support for Ms. Worm. Her participation in so many areas of our community has not gone unnoticed, and I think she would do a fabulous job expanding her duties as part of the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I'm in support of her.
And is there any discussion from the supporter?
Yes, thank you. I also would like to express my support for Ms. Worm. She is a valuable member of the Norwayne Citizens Council. She also was awarded and I'm sorry, I'm going to probably botch it, the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. There you go. Thank you so much. She's an active member in our community, and I think she would do a great job in this position, so I wholeheartedly support her.
Is there any additional discussion from the council? Councilman Hart.
Well, with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, I don't know how you get a higher award than that, or an accolade, or a qualification, so happy to support you, Christina. Thank you.
Any additional, yes, Councilman Horn.
Yeah, I just want to put my 2 cents in. Christine being in the community for a very long time, especially in the Norwayne area, very dedicated and definitely deserve this position as well. So I will be supporting this tonight as well. Thank you.
Any additional discussion from the council? I do have a point. As someone who serves on the Norwayne Community Citizens Council with Christina and attends the meetings regularly as a council member, I see the tireless work she puts in, not only with the Norwayne area, but all across Westland with her work in Wayne Westland Community Schools. She's got an exemplary resume. And I think one of the things that's important here, too, is that we need diversity in terms of where people live geographically in the city. And it can't just all be North End representation. We need representation from all over the community. And so to have representation on ZBA from the South End of the community, from Norwayne, from somebody who gives so much to the community as Christina does, really happy and excited to be able to support her nomination for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Not yet. We haven't made it official yet. Not yet. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Baumann.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilman Hornbuckle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
How is that?
New business, item 6, public hearing for proposed 2024-2025 budget. This public hearing date was set March 4, 2024.
This public hearing will allow residents to come forward to speak on the budget, this year's fiscal budget. This item is only to speak on the budget. There is going to be time later at the end of the meeting for public comment. This is the opportunity for the public to speak on the budget. Before we get to public comment there, we do have a comment from Director Smith to lead us off.
Through the chair, just a quick recap of the budget process to date. City Council received the proposed budget on April 1st. They have held 3 study sessions, all on consecutive Saturdays, April 13th, 20th, and 27th. That was to go over all the department's requests, their budgets in detail. A summary of the budget, total revenues estimated at $82,450,000. Total estimated expenditures, $82,401,000. The millage rate proposed, $17.5175 per $1,000 of taxable value. The library millage, $1.7351 per $1,000 of taxable value as well. Those millage rates are slightly lower than the previous years, and that's due to the Headley reduction fraction. Next year's taxable value is estimated at $2.3 billion. Fund balance estimated at June 30, 2025. Total fund balance, $12,344,000. And the fund balance unassigned at June 30, 2025, $8.4 million. And I will turn it back over to Council President.
Thank you, Director Smith. It is now time for the public hearing on the budget item only. Is there anyone on my left wishing to speak? Public hearing on the budget. Mr. Warren.
Good evening again. As you know, I sat through those 12 hours with you guys. There was a mention of compensation for commissioners. And you had talked about $75, but the current rate after taxes, we only get like 50-something bucks. So I just want to know that I'm in favor of doubling that, at least doubling that. We would still be up under getting less than other cities around us. So if you value your commissioners, at least double the amount that we get paid per session. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone on my right wishing to speak? Public hearing on the budget. Anyone else on my left wishing to speak? Public hearing on the budget. Is there anyone else in the audience?
Motion to close public hearing.
There's a motion to close public hearing by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilman Hornbuckle. Is there any discussion from the maker? Any discussion from the supporter? Any additional discussion from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, public hearing is closed.
New business. Item 7, public hearing on request to approve, absolutely abandon, vacate, and terminate the following right-of-way located in the city of Westland, county of Wayne, state of Michigan. That portion of Ensley Avenue abutting lots 1206 and 1207 in the Norwayne subdivision number 9. This is Planning Department number 2262. The public hearing date was set March 4, 2024, and all legal notices were complied with in accordance with the provisions of Section 16.2, Chapter 16 of the Charter of City of Westland, and no utilities had objections.
Before we get started with the public hearing, Mo?
Thanks, Council President. Good evening, City Council. The city is requesting to vacate this street. It's a small portion of Inslee Street located just east of Emerson. It's highlighted in red on your screen. This portion of right-of-way is currently grass planted and is not currently used as a street. As mentioned, this item is specifically the public hearing for this request to listen to any comments from the public. The noticing requirements, as mentioned by the clerk, for vacating a street have been followed. We've received a few calls from local residents, mostly inquiring about what the signs were about. One resident, William Asper, expressed concern for the removal of the sidewalk. You can't really see it on the, it's over here in this area. It looks a little better right now, but still in need of some repair. The city is proposing to remove this existing sidewalk and replace it with a new sidewalk just north of the existing basketball courts. Over here, it's about going to be shifted about 80 or 90 feet to the south. The city's engineering department confirmed no utilities exist under this portion of right-of-way, and that's important because the reason behind this is to create 2 buildable lots. There's a land division on your agenda as well as part of this, and community development department will, if approved, this vacation and the land division build 2 single-family homes on the resulting parcels. The Administration and Planning Commission, who reviewed this on December 5th, are recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone on my left wishing to speak on this item? Yes, Mr. Warren.
Okay, well, I get a lot of time speaking at the podium because I'm on a lot of commissions. I'm the president of the Liberator Group who builds these houses. Okay, and unfortunately, it seems it was supposed to be on the agenda months ago. So to a certain degree, council has slowed down our progress in building these homes. The objections that probably were made by this individual is that any improvement would raises taxes. But our motivation in Norwayne is to make it a community of choice. And every house that we have built has sold immediately. So we don't have any problem with selling the homes. Our job is to improve that community. And so we hope, it is our hope that you will give us the go-ahead with the lot splits and everything so we can get on with the utilities and get the electric in there and the gas lines in there so we can go ahead and proceed to continuously develop this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing, is there anyone else on my right wishing to speak? Anyone else on my left wishing to speak? There's a motion to close public hearing by Councilwoman Rakowski, supported by Councilman Hart. Is there any discussion from the maker? No, thank you. Any discussion from the supporter? None. Any discussion from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, public hearing is closed.
New business. Item 8, approval of community development block grant and home programs annual action plan, final statement, and recommended projects, July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025.
Council President?
Yes.
I motion to postpone this item till a study session on May 9th and a special meeting on the 13th to vote for the changes.
Say the 13th.
Yep, so the 9th would be a study session, the 13th a special meeting. It would allow people that are part of that council to explain where we need to allocate funds.
There's a motion on the floor to postpone. Is there support? There's support. Motion from Councilwoman Pro Tem Sampe, supported by Councilwoman Rakowski. Is there any additional discussion on the motion?
No?
Any additional discussion? Yes, Councilwoman.
I just want to clarify for May 13th, there is an event already on the calendar?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's okay.
okay.
It's the
Gathering of compassionate leaders?
Oh.
Okay.
I have a question to the administration, to Roger, Dr. Shiflett. Can you speak to what postponing this agenda item would do in terms of our timeline and timeliness to get this item over to the federal government for submission?
Through the chair, we've had several public hearings on this already. I know Joanne had sent this out a few weeks ago also, making sure that we didn't have any additional comments on this. The deadline to submit this action plan and this budget to HUD is May 15th. We're past the deadline for asking for an extension. Just so the council knows that under HUD's regulations, there is a process that we can go through at a later date to amend the action plan if needed. So it's not always written in stone. There's always an opportunity to make a change to it at a later date if needed. And as you know, being on council, there are times that we do reallocate funds throughout the year as things change. So this is really the roadmap. It's a roadmap we've been using for 20 years. It's been deemed kind of very equitable through all of the different departments and different funding sources that we look at for getting the funds. You know, HUD typically will not send out our allotment until after the action plan has been submitted. So this does put about $1.5 million in federal funds at risk.
And on this motion to postpone, even if we had a meeting, let's say, coming up in the next 5 days, we're still putting ourselves at risk with the submission to the federal government?
I would believe so, yeah. I don't know that trying to approve something at the last minute on the 13th, making all the changes and trying to get it submitted to HUD by the 15th would happen.
And to your point, you also mentioned that we could potentially make a budgetary amendment, so to speak, at a later date to amend how the money is being allocated after submitting to the federal government?
That's correct.
Okay.
She hit first.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Council President. Sorry, I didn't mean to cough at you.
That's okay.
Director Shiflett, if I may, you know, I can certainly understand the timeliness. However, to your point, if we want to say that there's been many public hearings, and certainly there's been some public vocalizations about the dissatisfaction, then, you know, to me, it would reason that perhaps since their desires or recommendations haven't been taken fully into consideration, that, you know, us pushing through something just because of a timeline is a disservice, because they have no guarantee that what has been submitted would be able to be modified, nor would I personally know, maybe my colleagues would, how we would go about calling forward any of that. Usually the actions that come from our homes and our CDBG and HUD appropriations come to us by way of our community development director. So I suppose the question that I might actually have would be, one, I guess the first is a statement that I feel that they've expressed a desire to go back to the table, and that's taking everybody's time. And I can certainly recognize their dedication to what they believe and what they want. Secondly, in a world where this is passed, are we able to put parameters on this that the money cannot be spent until a certain time, say, I think 60 days, 90 days, until the committee and the administration have had a time to come back to the table and discuss at length how they feel that these funds should be appropriated. Only in the sense that if that gives us the ability to preserve our timeline and the ability to capture 1.5 million in federal funding, but then also give the committee, you know, the fair opportunity to have plenty of time too, to really discuss how they would further want these allocations made and the cooperation of the administration to hear them.
Through the chair, Councilwoman, as you know, this budget is for the upcoming year. So no funds can be spent until after A, HUD approves the action plan, B, HUD approves our funding level, so we know exactly how much money that we are getting from HUD, and then C, Council finally approves the final budget, which won't go into effect until July 1st. So there are no funds that will be expended from this action plan until after those three things occur. Can changes be made between now and July? Sure, they can be. Just as I said, there is an amendment process to the action plan, and then as you know, we do occasionally bring amendments because we have projects that didn't expend as much money or projects that didn't go. So, you know, there's always time to amend what has to be done. Further, this is an annual process, and it typically starts every year in January and February. So there's certainly time to have these discussions even for next year. You know, some of the items that the commission had brought up, I think we had felt we've always kind of funded that community police officer. We've always funded the ordinance officer. If that funding is taken away from those two departments, you know, I don't know, then council's going to be looking at where are they going to replace that money at in their budget. So that's, these are eligible expenses. As all of you know, we have a stack about this tall of federal regulations that we have to live by, go through. We're audited every year by the city's audit, and we're audited every several years by HUD. And we've had, at least in the 7 years I've been in the department, we've never had a finding from either. So we live very strictly by our rules and regulations.
Okay. Well, I think that satisfies the majority of my questions. Could you explain to myself then how the council would go about asking for any sort of amendment? Because as I stated previously, and we've seen it time and again, you know, CBDG home over here and, you know, certain amendments that we've made on behalf, but there's never been the reverse motion taken.
I'm quite certain that the mayor and council and Director Campbell and myself would be more than happy to meet with council in any forum that's legal for us to do so, to discuss any changes or any amendments or anything that needs to be done moving forward prior to the final budget being passed by council.
And then lastly from me, in order for a city such as ours to have these community development block grant funds, there has to be a committee that exists, right? From residents and stakeholders in that area that provide information to the administrator or the grant application submitter, if you will, on how they feel that money needs to be spent in their area.
The regulations require us to hold public hearings. We're required to submit to HUD how our CDBG funds and how they're going to be administered. Ours many years ago was set up with an advisory committee that does that. They advise as to what the funds are going to be expended by. They're strictly in an advisory role. There's public hearings that's open to the general public to also come in, ask questions, voice their concerns. You know, there are times that the recommendations are certainly looked at and listened to. There's other times that, you know, the recommendations may not be able to be moved forward because they're maybe not equitable or they may not be necessarily within the regulations. So those are things that we have to weigh when Director Campbell puts this together and then submits it to the mayor and to the council for approval. So all of that is taken into consideration, and it's typically done over several months. You know, the Norwayne community and our southern communities have a very big voice, but there are a lot of areas in the city besides those two that are eligible CDBG funded areas in the city. So, you know, we have to think about kind of the city as a whole on some of what we're doing.
Yeah, I hear you. And I appreciate that, but I also appreciate the fact that we do have that advisory board in place. And I think, you know, just because some things have happened over many, many years, it doesn't always mean that it's the best practice to do either. So
I don't disagree with that.
You know, I appreciate everything that you and Director Campbell do, but, you know, in this very instance, I feel like it would be remiss if we didn't sit back at the table. That's my opinion. So, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilwoman, for making your sentiments. Actually, mine were very similar. I guess my concern is in regards to the lack of discussion and incorporating the recommendations of the body. Typically, that would be something that I would see weighed very heavy. So I guess my question to Mr. Shiflett is that, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that the plan submitted is a placeholder. Is that correct?
Council President. May I? I want to speak on behalf of the administration just for a moment before Roger chimes back in. Roger was very eloquent in what he said about all the process. It's a long process just to get to this point. The only specific suggestion that I got from the advisory committee was to not fund a community police officer whatsoever for Norwayne and the Carver subdivision. We reduced that funding from $110,000 down to $40,000, and then we've allocated that money to other services citywide. Again, I want to reiterate that I'm investing more funds into the Carver subdivision, Annapolis Park, and Norwayne than has been done in many, many years. It's a high priority for my administration. I did not agree with the advisory committee's specific request to remove the funding for the one police officer. I think it's important. I hear the input, but I just chose not to agree. And the reason I didn't agree is because when I was running to become mayor last year, I knocked thousands of doors, and specifically in those neighborhoods, I heard over and over again that we want more police drive-throughs and more of a Westland Police Department presence in our community. In order to offer that service, we need to fund police services. So I just wanted to kind of clarify for the public where this conversation is coming from and where it's going. That was the only specific recommendation that I got from Mr. Warren. And again, I appreciate the council's funding of the summer youth program and the community center, Samuel B. Ware Community Center. I think it's an important service. If we want to bump up some funding to any specific programs, I think we should have that conversation. Just for the timeliness, I want to ask to have that conversation right here, right now, tonight, rather than moving it over to a study session and pushing right up against the deadline. I mean, I'm willing to stay as long as you want tonight to have that conversation. If council wishes to make changes, we can do that now. But ultimately, it's your decision. And then I know if you have any more questions for Roger or any more of my administration, feel free to go ahead. Thank you.
Can I finish?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Mayor, for that, but I still don't feel like the recommendations were included in the plan. So what I'm asking, as I asked before, is to have a study session. If you would like to have it tonight, I'm game. We can finish the meeting and have a study session, but I do feel like we should have the input from the residents included in this. So I still stand by what I said. I am proposing a postponement. We could have a study session tonight or May 9th, and then a special meeting to adopt the changes.
Regarding, one second, Mayor. Regarding having a study session tonight, we cannot do that. We have to have public notice.
I know, I'm just.
Regarding having, so we cannot do that. So that is not possible. It's my belief that we can have further deliberation on this. As Roger mentioned, if this gets adopted, this is essentially a template that we're submitting to the federal government, and we're already butting up against the timeline. We can still have room for future deliberation on this in the coming week or two to make any necessary budget amendments that the council wishes to make. But I think we're putting ourselves in a really tight time crunch if we delay this and we kick the can on it. Now, it doesn't mean that by voting on it tonight, doesn't mean we have to accept every last thing. If we still want to have some discussion on that, we can do that, and we can talk about a future budgetary amendment. But I would hate to put Roger and Joanne in a tough situation where they're up against it with the federal government, and then all of a sudden we don't get the funding and lose out on the funding, period. And then we're having a discussion like, oh, great, now we don't have anything from the federal government. So I understand the argument about wanting to have more discussion and talk about some individual items. It sounds like the community policing is the item that most folks want to talk about, and that's fine. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that either, but I just don't want us to butt up against a tight timeline, put the administration, more specifically Director Shiflett and Director Campbell, on that, trying to explain to the federal government why we don't have our program in place when they're asking, hey, where's your submittal for CDBG and home?
Council President.
Yes, Councilman.
Can I go?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, I think the horse has got a lot of shots in it, but I'm going to give my best swing at it. I realize that there's a lot of money at risk, and I recognize that. We want to make sure that we get the revenue. But I also recognize that there's been some pushback from the committee. So I think that there's some negotiation that has to happen between the administration and the committee. They kind of need to lock themselves in a room for a little bit and kind of figure out something that's a little bit more mutually equitable. But I don't want to risk it. If we're willing to make an amendment, okay, that's great. And I'm okay, me personally, approving and passing and adopting this today, as long as I have a verbal on-record commitment from the mayor and the administration that they're going to sit down with the committee and come up with something that everybody can agree with and bring it back to the council before the new budget starts. I think that takes the pressure off from funding the $1.5 million. It gives the committee and the administration a little bit more time to work on something that's mutually equitable. It takes the fire off of everybody's feet. And it gives the council time to go ahead and let them work and to redigest something a little different and incorporate that in before we adopt the budget. Mayor, I hate to put you on the spot, but is that something you can commit on record?
I never mind being put on the spot. Yes, we're happy to meet with the committee, and I appreciate your willingness to give us some time, Councilman, so thank you for that.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, Councilwoman Stampy, I think in my opinion, if you withdraw your motion and if they're willing to make that commitment, I'm okay with it. If you are, so I'll close my comment. Thank you, Council President.
And Pro Tem, I know you had another comment.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess with that being said, I did get interrupted when I asked my question about being a placeholder. So, Mr. Shiflett, can you explain to this body to let us know, is this just a placeholder and we can move chess pieces around in terms of funding?
Through the chair, I would probably classify it as a little more than a placeholder, only because there is a process to amend it, but it is eligible to be amended at any time, as we've done many times in the past. So, you know, this is kind of the plan that we tell the federal government of how we're going to allocate the funds for the coming year. I think last year we probably changed it 3 times that I'm aware of. So I think it's a little more than a placeholder, but it's also easily amended. Does that help?
No, not really, because basically what you're saying is that the money that we have may or may not be used. So on record, the administration says, yes, we'll do it, but you're saying, no, we won't. So I guess I'm trying to.
No, I don't think that's what I said.
Well, you said, yes, it's a placeholder, but no.
Well, I don't want to call it a placeholder in an open forum because I think the federal regulations say that it's a little more than that. However, the federal regulations allow this body and the administration to make changes to it throughout the year as you see fit that are within the regulations. So, in which we've done many times. So it is an amendable process to be done.
Do you have a question, Pro Tem?
Yeah, I'm having sick to my stomach. I don't think that we're going to be able to change it, and that's my nervousness of pulling my motion.
We changed it 3 times last year, Councilwoman. I mean, we've changed it 3 times.
Pro Tem?
He wants to say something, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a routine thing. It's happened in the past several times where council can propose and adopt an amendment, just like they could a budget amendment. They can amend this budget too. So, and we're totally willing, again, to sit down with the advisory committee. We had a disagreement on one piece of the funding, but I'm absolutely willing to meet anytime and talk about, you know, making sure our priorities are all on the same page. So I'm absolutely willing to do that. And happy to talk to council too about any changes we might want to make going forward as well, so.
So I would be willing to withdraw my motion if this happens. If the committee meets with administration, they propose changes, they're heard, and then on top of that, we're able to amend the proposal as said. So I would be willing to withdraw it if that happens. So on record, I'm assuming you said that it would happen. The council would get an amended plan. Is that correct?
We can have that discussion, and if we agree and have support from the advisory committee, it's about, any other discussion, you try to get on the same page. If the council wants to do that, and, we will have that discussion, and I'm absolutely willing to support changes if the council wishes to do so. So, yeah.
Okay.
Councilwoman Baumann.
Before you withdraw, I too also just want to have a clarification because I'm hearing different things. When it comes to amending this from the past and through the chair, I heard the word within regulations. So I guess I want to understand, and I know, I hate to say, what is that process to amend? I know, and I'm not trying to go into super deep, but at the same time, so that we can be comfortable with this, what is that process? Is it dollar amounts? Is it where it's going? Is it, what are those things that can be amended that would not get in the way of us actually receiving these monies, I guess? And what is that process? Because, yeah, so I think that's my question to the chair.
So just like any other budget amendment, the council can propose a change in where those line item funds are going and vote on it. As long as it's within the federal regulations though, but we could have that conversation.
Yeah, because do we have to provide that to the government afterwards and say that we made this amendment?
Yes.
Yeah, we would. Everything's documented. Yes. All set, Councilwoman? Councilwoman Rakowski.
I want to ask something, but I don't know a delicate way to do it. So
Facebook.
Well, let me just hop on my Facebook. I don't have Facebook. Okay. Well, I'll just ask, and then you can call me out of order. We have 2 members that are on that committee, and I would just like to be able to gauge their readiness for us to be able to move forward and continue to have conversations of amendments so that we don't lose out on funding. And if that would be acceptable to them so that they feel heard. You can nod or not. I'm just so worried about us not getting the funding, but I also really hear their concerns. And it's not in any sort of disrespect to the mayor, but there was a number of things. There was things that didn't get brought to the table because the funding just wasn't available to even have the conversation for some of the things that they wanted to broach. So, it isn't just a solid one issue. So, that may have been how it was presented to you, but the conversations I had were a little bit different. And I think that's a fair statement. So I don't want the community to go without the funding. I don't want anybody to feel like their back is up against the wall. And I want them to know that they have a commitment and an opportunity to make appropriate adjustments so that we can preserve the funding that really is going to improve their neighborhood. I guess that's it. I guess it was less of a question and more of a statement, but I just wanted a temperature reading.
Thank you, Councilwoman Pro Tem.
Thank you. Through the chair to the administration, so if we were to complete a study session on the 9th, a special meeting on the 13th, are we saying that we would lose the funding if we followed that timeline? I don't know who wants to answer it, Mayor or?
We risk not having the CDBG plan submitted in a timely manner. Whether that means we lose that funding. I couldn't speak for the federal, I couldn't speak for housing and urban development. I don't know that.
So 2
But
days is
I
not
think it would be unwise of us to push, within less than 48 hours of a federal deadline and maybe not have that submitted in a timely way. Again, this agreement came down to police department funding $40,000 towards a community police officer. The other priorities of the community, I believe we're on the same page. And I'm absolutely willing to meet with the advisory committee, city council members, and anybody in the community that might want to discuss CDBG funding a little more. So, but that's where we're at, and I think to have a study session about 40 grand towards a community police officer, well, that's council's decision, so I won't weigh in on that. But.
I still disagree, but at the same time, I've worked under deadlines, 48 hours, and I've always met them. So I'm going to keep my motion on the table.
With regards to the motion on the table, I do have a comment on that. I think we're pushing up against a really tight timeline, and I would hate to see us test that. Again, as has been mentioned, we have the opportunity, as we do with the regular budget as well as the CDBG, to make future amendments. And those future amendments include potentially at the next council meeting, if we so choose to make those changes. I'm not saying that I want to stifle them against any changes being made, but we're testing a really tight timeline here. And I would hate to test that out with the federal government and something as important as our community development block grant funding. So I understand the argument about the community policing and having further discussion on this, but I would hate to test it with the federal government and have them come back at us and say, hey, where's your submission for community development block grant funding? I mean, it sounds like a May 13th meeting goes past the deadline for submission. So at that, May
15th is when you submit.
okay, so it's 2 days before. So we're really up against that timeline.
Council President?
Yes.
Call the question.
Okay. Call the question.
Through the chair, just please clarify everybody what the motion I just called was.
And I will. So there is a motion to go to a direct vote on the question. Call the question needs support, and then we'll vote solely on that matter before we vote on the postponement.
Okay. Is there support?
Yes, to call the question.
There's a motion to call the question by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilwoman Bauer.
And we're calling the question on the supplementary motion made by Councilwoman.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
making sure everyone's on the same
So
page.
regarding calling the question, if I
Yes.
may,
Yes.
go to roll call.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Bauman.
We are voting to call
Call the question.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski. That's what I meant to say. This form does not have that. Councilman Hornbuckle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski. Thank you for that. Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
Yes.
We'll go right to the motion to postpone to a date following the May 9 study session and a special meeting May 13. Councilwoman Bauman.
No.
Councilman Hart.
No.
Councilman Hornbuckle.
No.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Wishart.
No.
Pro Tem Sampe.
Yes.
President McDermott.
No.
Motion passes, rather, motion fails, which means we will go to, there is no motion yet to approve item 8. There's not a motion to approve yet.
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart. Is there support? Supported by Councilwoman Baumann. On the original item, is there any discussion?
Hopefully not.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
My only discussion is, can we set a date now through this process? No?
Not on this.
Okay, just checking. I want to just check it. Okay.
All set? Okay. Is there any additional discussion from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Roll call.
This is to approve the CDBG Home Annual Action Plan Final Statement. Councilwoman Baumann.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilman Hornbuckle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
No.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
No.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item 9, adoption of prepared resolution to approve the 2024-2025 Community Development Block Grant and Home Program budgets. Administration would be authorized to prepare and submit the CDBG Home Annual Action Plan 2024-2025 to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and both the city administration and city attorney would be authorized to prepare and execute the necessary agreements to implement the projects and programs listed within.
So moved. Support.
There's a motion from Councilman Hart, supported by Councilman Hornbuckle. Is there any discussion from the maker?
Again, hopefully not.
Any discussion from the supporter? Any additional discussion from the council?
Dissent.
Dissent?
Dissent.
Dissent. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Baumann.
No.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilman Hornbuckle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rakowski.
No.
Councilman Wishart.
Yes.
Pro Tem Sampe.
No.
President McDermott.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item 10, approval of proposed land division 2203 Emerson, Norway neighborhood, City of Westland. This is Planning Department number 2263. Administration recommends approval contingent upon parcel 3 being combined with parcel number 560740612080001, which is a city-owned property, and if approved, directs the city attorney to draft the necessary land division resolution.
So moved.
Support.
There's a motion from Councilman Hart. There's support from Councilwoman Rakowski. Mo?
Okay, thanks, Council President. This is the second part of what we discussed earlier with the street vacation. So again, this property is located in the Norwayne neighborhood. This is just east of Wildwood, along Emerson there, where Ensley meets. These properties are zoned R6. That's our two-family residential district, and they're currently undeveloped. There was a home that was demolished, correct? A fourplex, two fourplexes that were demolished. The city is requesting the previously heard street vacation along with this land combination and division, again, in order to assemble 2 buildable lots and construct 2 single-family dwellings. There are 3 parcels being created through this combination and split. Parcel 1 and parcel 2 are on your screen over here. Let me turn on my pointer. They both comply with the R6 bulk requirements. This parcel 3 that does not, but it will be combined with a park property here to the south, which will satisfy its compliance requirement. The Administration and Planning Commission heard this on March 5th. Both recommend approval with the condition that parcel 3 that I just mentioned be combined with that park property. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from the maker? None. Any from the supporter? Any additional questions from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries.
New business, item 11, approval of proposed land division, 8493 Hugh Street, west side of Hugh, south of Mackenzie. This is Planning Department number 2265. Administration recommends approval with the condition that the garage and breezeway be removed to comply with the required 5-foot side yard setback, and if approved, directs the city attorney to draft the necessary land division resolution.
There's a motion by Councilman Hornbuckle, supported by Councilwoman Rakowski.
Okay, thank you. The subject property here is zoned R5, single-family residential, highlighted in yellow on your, or outlined in yellow on your screen. It's 130 feet wide along Hugh Street and developed by a single-family dwelling. The petitioner is seeking approval to split the property into 2 parcels. The purpose is to build a new home on the resulting parcel, this southern one here. Actually, the garage and breezeway were demolished in order to comply with the minimum setback requirement that the clerk mentioned in the R5 district. This was a condition made by the Planning Commission and showed up in your packet today. So it's not necessary, but still in there. The parcels as proposed comply with the minimum lot size requirements of the R5 district. I believe parcel A is 60 feet, that's the southern one, and parcel B, where the house will remain without the garage and the breezeway. There is a carport here on the side. That one is 70 feet wide along Hugh. Administration, Planning Commission heard this on February 6th. Both are recommending approval, and the petitioners, Frederick and Patricia, are in the audience if you have any questions for them or for I. Thanks.
Would the petitioners like to come up? Good evening. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope, I think you covered it well.
And is there any questions from the council? Yes, Councilman Hornbuckle. Sorry.
So I got to meet the petitioner today. I did review the planning meeting. I'm sorry you had to move your hot tub, but they comply with everything that the city, the Planning Commission asked. The garage and the breezeway is gone. This was proposed on February 6th, and they took care of it. It looks really nice. Sorry about your mailbox, but I think this is great for that neighborhood, and it's going to look very beautiful, so I'll definitely be supporting this.
Okay, great. Councilwoman.
And I'm in support of this as well, you know. I almost did it. Almost have to. And I'm in support of it as well. You know, it looks like you're, you know, not going to miss that garage and breezeway too much, I hope. But, you know, it's your home and your property, and I'd like you to be able to exercise your rights to develop it, so.
Something we've been talking about for 31 years. It's about time.
We've been there a long
I understand your
time,
plight.
and
I have 2 lots myself, so I understand the dream, so I hope we're not, you know.
Well, this technically was 3, but
Oh,
we
there
have to
you
go
go.
2 to meet the minimum requirements. So.
Right, yeah, so I'm in support of it, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion from the council? Any other discussion from the council? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yep.
New business, item 12, approval of proposed rezoning from CB3 General Commercial Business District to CB4 Vehicle Service District, 7525 North Wayne Road, west side of Wayne, south of Central City Parkway. This is Planning Department number 15310. Administration recommends denial of the proposed rezoning.
Council President?
Yes.
Motion to deny.
There's a motion denied.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilman Hornbuckle.
Thank you, Council President. The subject here is located on the west side of North Wayne between Warren and Nankin Boulevard. The property comprises a little bit over 1 acre and is currently zoned CB3 General Commercial Business and developed with a vacant restaurant building, the former Ashley's Bar and Grill. The petitioners are requesting to rezone the property from CB3 to CB4, that's our vehicle service district, to allow the development of an automobile wash. I'm going to read the adjacent land uses and zoning on the record. Property to the north is zone CB2, shopping center commercial business, and is the location of the Los Amigos restaurant. Property to the south is CB3, developed by the Westland Mall parking lot. Properties to the east are zone CB3 general commercial business and developed by Crap Kitchen Restaurant, Volunteers of America Thrift Store, and the retail plaza that exists adjacent to it. Property to the west is also zone CB3 and is developed by the Westland Mall. The zoning ordinance requires the Planning Commission and the Planning Director to make certain findings when considering a request for rezoning change. You have the staff report indicating those findings, but I do want to read a few of them here on the record as well. The suitability of the property in question for the uses permitted under the existing zoning classification. The subject property is currently developed by a vacant brick and wood building that I mentioned, Ashley's Bar and Grill. It's zone CB3, which provides a wide variety of permitted uses, most of which are consistent with the site's future land use designation as shop and dine district. The CB3 district also allows for uses permitted in the OB, CB1, and CB2 districts. Therefore, we think that the property has a reasonable economic use as currently zoned and is suitable for the uses permitted under that existing zoning classification. The next finding is the trend of development, if any, in the general area of the property in question, including any changes in present zoning classification. There have been no major developments in the area. There have been several reoccupancies in previous years for retail in the adjacent surrounding plazas and also within the mall. There has been no introduction of any new auto-oriented businesses such as auto washes, gas stations, or repair shops. An existing car wash is located sort of across the street that was recently renovated on the east side of Wayne. I think the last one that I want to read is objectives of the City of Westland Master Plan, which indicates this site shop and dine district. This classification intends to further define and enhance the district. The desired land uses in this district include commercial, with a focus on retail services and entertainment. And the objective is to create a district for the area surrounding the mall that is walkable and vibrant mixed-use shopping and dining district. The objective of complying with the master plan future land use designation for this site is not met with the proposed rezoning to CB4. We also have a City Center 2050 transformation plan, which is a strategic plan and policy document designed to guide revitalization of the area surrounding the mall within the Tifa district. The mall area along with this property is identified as a special planning area within this plan. The plan recommends restricting undesired uses, specifically mentioning auto-oriented businesses. Again, therefore, the objective of the Westland City Center 2050 transformation plan is also not met with the proposed rezoning. So based on those foregoing analysis, the Administration and Planning Commission, which held a public hearing on March 5th, or sometime in April, I believe. I'm sorry, I don't have the date in front of me. Finds that this rezoning request is inconsistent with the city's comprehensive master plan and transformation plan and recommends denial of the applicant's rezoning request. The applicant is here tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions as well.
And if the applicant would like to come forward to take questions from the council.
Very much. Do you have a minute to address you guys quickly on this
Yes.
project? Thank you so much. First of all, just thank you taking the time to have us and hear us tonight, and thank you, Mr. Ayub, for taking the time in the Planning Commission to review this project. I would say, first of all, we absolutely understand the concerns. I know what you guys want to see, what the vision is for your city, and we don't want to disrupt that or kind of come here with a proposal that's going to go against that vision. What I would say is that, I'm in this industry quite some time, about 10 years. There is a very significant issue where the perception of what our industry is versus what our industry actually is are two different things. Right now, just from an architectural standpoint, the architecture we use is modern road architecture. These projects are about $6 to $7 million projects. These are not the car washes that you guys are thinking about when you're thinking about what this project is. That would be my first point. The second one is related to making it a more pedestrian-friendly district. We have 3 projects right now, one in London, Ontario, one in South Carolina, and another in Wichita, Kansas, that all have similar concerns. In South Carolina, one of the things we're able to do is actually put a dog wash facility on the main road so that pedestrians, as they're walking up the facility, actually have a place to wash their dog and have something that provides service to the people who are pedestrians along with vehicle uses. So just there's things that we can do to mitigate some of the concerns you all have to try to work with the city and actually make something that is aesthetically appealing to your residents and actually services them as well. The other point I would make to you guys is just from an environmental standpoint, and there's a lot of things, a lot of automotive uses are restricted and looked at poorly because we've been, in the past, bad actors. Our industry is not like that at all. We are, in fact, saving water. It's about 100 gallons a car we save versus somebody washing at home. We're actually treating and cleaning all the chemicals before they get out into the sewer so that you don't have the level of contamination, and all the chemicals we use are environmentally friendly. So this is a totally different experience from anything that you guys have likely seen in some time. And the last point I would make to you, and especially listening to some of the folks here with some of the amazing things you guys are doing in the community for the youth, one of the things that's happening is if you see the technology that's going to these car washes, this is a STEM lab. This is computer science, this is robotics, this is chemistry of the most advanced level. And in all the communities that we're in, we're typically partnering with high schools, trade schools, even colleges to have some of the university students and students come in and actively participate in this, in the facility that we have and learn in real time from some of the amazing applications that we use. So in general, I would say that this is not something that I think has been looked at or framed correctly. I think I absolutely understand the intent of what you guys want to do, but we really do believe that we will be a great asset to your city. And the other thing I would point to you today is that the gentleman next to me is going to be the proposed owner. I'm not here representing a big corporation who wants to come in here and just build a site so that we can kind of take from your city. This gentleman is local. We've been working with him for some time and identified this location as an excellent location for a car wash. And we would really love the opportunity to come to your city. And even, if you would consider working with us, if there's some concerns that you all have about things we could do to help better incorporate into your vision, we would be very much open to that. But we really are trying to be good actors. Our industry has evolved and shifted. And I would say as you look at shopping malls across the country that are going under reinvention, this is not, something that's not just here. Car washes are part of the solution and not part of the problem. And I think that's a change that's happening, and we really urge you guys to consider that as you look at this process. So if any questions past that, we'd be happy to answer. And Mike, if there's anything you want to add, please.
No, I think Jonathan covered it all. My wife and I are going to run this car wash. We are local. It's not a big corporation going to come in and take advantage of anything. But if you have any questions.
Absolutely.
Pro Tem?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say thank you for sticking around to the very long meeting. I appreciate your willingness to invest in the community. I think that in terms of flipping the district as shop and dine, I'm not comfortable with the rezoning. However, I do feel like there's many different spots in Westland that I could share with you that would welcome the rezoning, or if it's already zoned in that case. Yeah. You're a phenomenal salesman, so stick around. But that's what I would say is I just don't feel comfortable because of the vision of building that district up. But I do think Westland would love to have your business here, and I hope that we can find a spot in Westland. And I'm sure working with Mo, who is fabulous, he could find the right location for you guys too.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman Hart. Apologies.
Thank you, Council President. I recognize, well, first and foremost, a very impressive sales act. I thought it was very good. I was quite impressed. A couple times you said, I know what you're trying to do here. And frankly, I think you know and you don't care. This is the master plan states very clearly this is what this area is for. The master plan's put together not just by the council, but the entire city of Westland puts that master plan together. Residents as well. And furthermore, you knew that, you know what was zoned, you know that's our shop and dine district. The planning commission still denied it, and here we are. If I don't go 2 days without citizens asking me, what's the future of this property and this big shop and dine district that we want to put together and all of this mixed use and all the things we talk about, I haven't been on council for 2 days. And secondly, everybody asks me after that, what's going on with the Ashley's property and when are we getting another restaurant? People are interested in a restaurant and dining opportunities in the city, and quite frankly, a car wash fits none of the interest that I get from our constituents and the residents here in the city of Westland. I appreciate you trying to do, and I'm a capitalist, I'm a businessman just like anybody else, and I appreciate it, but this goes 100% against the most glaring example I've seen so far of going against what the will of the people are in the future and the vision we're trying to realize here. I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just trying to be very pointed and very direct. And, you know, the 7 of us and the mayor as well, we have constant communications with the residents, and I'm sure they can probably echo the things that I just said over and over again, specifically to what shop and dine, and when are we going to get more restaurants, and what's going on with the Ashley's property, when can we get that back, or something, another version thereof, because it was very popular. So Councilwoman Sampe has said it, and I know Director Ayub will be able to point you to some other parcels here that'll probably fit. But automotive use in our DDA and shop and dine district has pretty much been told to us for years, don't do anymore. It's going against the vision you're trying to realize for the future of the city of Westland. So, I mean, I commend you on your bravery and your courage, and I commend you on your entrepreneurial spirit, but it ain't gonna work here, at least not while I'm sitting in this seat. So I just can't support it. So that'll be it, Council President. Thank you.
Councilman Hornbuckle.
I'm not going to repeat what he said, but I'm in the same situation as well. But I just have some direct questions.
Sure.
The planning board asked, are there any other properties that you guys looked at, and they would show you these other properties? Have you taken the time to look at those other properties? Because this has been a month. April 2nd was the meeting, and they posed this. Have that?
I did, excuse me, I was not provided with any specific addresses. I did tour the city, and we did do some pro forma studies on a couple.
Yeah, we have not been provided those addresses. If you would provide those to us, we will look at them right away. I think, as I said, we've mapped out the entire city of Westland along with most of the cities, and so we'll make sure that we do look at that right away if that's something that's provided. 100%.
Okay, and we want to make sure that when you do this, you look at the whole city, not just right here in this area. We are a big city. It's shaped weird, but I want to make sure that you look at the whole city.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you know, the way we look at areas, it's not that we're trying to force ourselves into one area or another. We have a lot of different kind of systems that we use to evaluate where's the best location. And this just ended up being a top choice. And the broker initially indicated it would work for a car wash, which is why we're here. So we didn't mean to go down this path. It didn't mean to kind of waste your time here, but that's just where we ended up. And that's why we wanted to at least speak to y'all tonight and just kind of get your opinions on this, which are clear.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend talking to Mo, looking at some other good sites besides the shop and dine district. Thank you.
How's that, Councilman? Councilwoman?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for sticking out the meeting with us. But, you know, when our planning commission is tasked with things, and, you know, they have to take certain things into consideration. One is our master plan, and then our zoning and our ordinance. And I think they've done their due diligence here. And so to do anything other than to go along with their recommendation would really be superseding what their purpose is. You know, this area happens to be where I traverse daily, multiple times a day, so I can certainly understand the traffic count and the desire to have a car wash in that area. However, it really is our shop and dine district. It really should be you know, used for retail and restaurants. And, you know, that's the vision. Planning really hit the nail on the head there. I would encourage you to explore other parts of the
Will,
city.
absolutely.
You know, I was a small business owner, and I understand you do the study that you want where all the cars drive, right?
Yeah, but we also want to work with you guys. Look, we do not want to come in here and be adversarial. We want to be something that you guys want us here, and that's what we will look to
Yeah,
do.
certainly. And, you know, when residents do contact us, you know, there has been a high number of automotive uses that have come in and gone. And I'm sure your business model is number one and far superior than any other one.
You guys got to be protective of your city.
However, it's just not the appetite our residents are really looking for. They're looking for some new development of dining, shopping, and perhaps even residential in that area. So I would encourage you to continue looking,
Yeah,
but
we'll continue
I
working
will
with your
be in
department.
support of the denial.
Pro Tem?
Thank you. Sorry, gentlemen, to come back at you. I actually was texting with Mo, so what I would recommend is connecting with him afterwards.
Yep.
It sounds like he had recommended that you guys buy an existing spot for a car wash, or a car wash site. So with that being said, I would just advise you guys to connect with them. It will go back to planning, yeah. We don't want to lose you. Your enthusiasm is great. Thank you, sir, for wanting to invest local. There's some phenomenal spots that I think he can point you to.
No, we'll
so.
definitely work with you guys, and again, we want to
Perfect.
be here, we want to do it the right way, and we want you guys to support us. We don't want to come in and
Yeah.
try to come into a place that we're not wanted by any means. So
Absolutely.
We appreciate the time tonight, thank you.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much. So, but again, obviously the denial on my end still
Yeah,
stands.
understood, got it.
All set? Councilwoman, Councilman, before I go? Councilwoman, go ahead.
Probably not. What is the minimum, I mean, I'm just looking at the, because this property was holding for 2.2 acres that you were looking, was that going to be completely developed for this? Or is
Yeah.
that, because is that what you'll need for future, for any
It's about
additional?
an acre and a half or so, depending. These are big sites, and again, these are not what you guys would typically associate with a car wash. This is a $6-7 million, pretty advanced facility.
Okay, that's all.
Councilman? Okay. So appreciate, as some of my colleagues said, you guys coming here, sir, your interest in investing locally here in Westland. Very much appreciate that. One of the things that we created was the City Center Visioning Plan. And Lord knows over the years, we've created a lot of visioning plans. City Center, our reimagined Ford Road Plan, Economic Development Master Plan. And we all have agreed when we created these plans what the vision is for the city center area, the mall, so to speak, area. And over the years, one of the problems that we've had is we create a lot of plans and we don't stick to them. And they just kind of, you know, we get the big PR rollout and then they collect dust and sit on a shelf. Well, you know, working with, I think, this administration, it's clear we want to actually stick to what was created a couple of administrations ago with the city center visioning plan. So I certainly appreciate what you guys are trying to do. I certainly appreciate your attempt to invest here locally, but we really want this to have that kind of city center, downtown type feel. And I think more than that, our residents want that as well. It is something that Westland does not have currently. And what we have instead is a mall that is owned by less than, yes. We have a mall that is owned by a company that we are trying to work with to get some redevelopment there. And our vision for what that redevelopment is, you know, unfortunately is a little different than what you guys are proposing, especially in particular at the Ashley site, which is a restaurant and is located in the heart of the Shop and Dine district. So I will be in support of the motion to deny.
Understood.
Is there any other discussion from the council? Is there any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, the motion to deny passes.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
We're on public comment now, aren't we? Okay. That's it, right? Public comment. Okay, we are now on to public comment time at long last. Everyone wishing to speak before the council shall do so in a civil manner. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, vulgar language, disruptive outbursts, threats, racial slurs, or other conduct that interferes with the orderly conduct of the business meeting. Personal attacks on council members, the administration, city staff, other speakers, or members of the public will not be tolerated. The clock will start upon the first words of the speaker and will not stop while the speaker is recognized from the floor. The speaker can ask questions at this time, and the person questioned may respond during the speaker's allotment of time. However, the clock will not be stopped once it is started. The clock will continue to run until the 3 minutes is up or the person is done speaking, whichever comes first. This is public comment. Is there anyone on my left? We'll start with you, ma'am. Yes. Thank you for waiting.
Okay. So, hello. My name is Brooklyn Woolen, and I am a current Westland resident. I came here to suggest an idea that would probably improve our community by investing in a recreational center with an outdoor pool. The Old Bailey Recreational Center offered many inclusive activities and classes for people of all ages and is very well missed. So first and foremost, I don't think there is a lot of recreational activities for people who are over the age of 12. I've taken my daughter to Teton Park, and it is overrun with adolescents who are being mischievous, using vulgar language, and I know the police, at least while I have been there, have been called numerous times to talk to them. Not to mention the park and the splash pad is extremely overcrowded, and at times it's not clean. The problem is these adolescents do not have anywhere to hang out. The mall is a ghost town and will likely inevitably close, and after that they'll no longer have a space to hang out with their peers. And the Old Bailey Recreational Center was closed over a decade ago and was loved by many of us during the summertime. I myself have plenty of memories going there as a kid and having fun. At least to my knowledge, we do not have a recreational center in Westland, and it costs extra money to join the neighboring cities like Livonia. Having a membership at a local gym and even a day pass is very expensive. An outdoor community pool would be a cost-effective solution to an expensive gym membership that not everybody can afford. In addition, investing in a recreational center will keep children and adolescents out of trouble because they'll be occupied. It also might decrease the overcrowding at the splash pad in the park. Furthermore, residents will once again be able to enjoy an outdoor pool on a hot summer day, and it will be fun for all ages, as there is not much to do in our city for people who are adolescents and older. If well kept and clean with rules and regulations that are enforced, this can be an additional revenue source for our city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Public comment, anyone on my right? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Mary Robinson, and I'm from Westland. I was here, I think a couple years ago, the last time I actually spoke, and just sort of giving you an update that now we have a third mayor since I started with Mayor Wild, and Mayor Coleman seems to be very positive with a lot of the changes that that we were looking for, and I've spoke today to Deputy Mayor. He's asked the Deputy Mayor, Godbout, if I pronounced it right, to speak with me, and there's several neighbors that have asked and talk about certain issues again. So he's willing to, work with us, and already my sister from the other side of Michigan was visiting, and she got to my house before me, and so she parked in the park, and she said, within 2 minutes, the police pulled up and asked me, what am I doing here? I'm like, you're kidding, thank goodness. That's what I've been hoping for, because we have a lot of people that sit at the park for long periods of time at night. So I'm really excited about what's supposed to be happening. I've already seen the police stop and walk around the water park. So I'm seeing and hearing from the mayor some positive things. I really, my main thing is for safety, and I'm really concerned about the people still parking in the street. It causes all kinds of problems with the fire truck, ambulance, police cars, because they all use that also. And the kids coming out in the street. Anybody sit there, like, I'll be just sitting out on the front, and I'm like jumping up constantly because they're running to the street with balls and whatnot. And then also with the cars parked in the street, I really would like a fence, but I don't know exactly, you know, how the funds come around, if it's DDA or how you actually get the funds for that. So I realize that that could be still a issue, but some kind of fence so that the people will stop parking there and the little kids aren't gonna end up in the street. Garbage, that park is beautiful. There's so much now going on with that park, but it's so used right now that there's so many people. There's 3 garbage cans that I asked for, like garbage cans, and all we got were 3. And all throughout the park, we really need more garbage cans and,
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up.
okay.
Thank you. We can stay up here
Thank
to
you
talk
for
to you, though.
listening. This one,
We can get those from you afterwards. We'll get them for you.
I'll take them and I'll copy them to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
And yes, ma'am.
Judith Yates, on behalf of Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church, I just want to give a heartfelt thank you for funding our summer youth program. You are investing in your city by investing in the youth, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Public comment on my right. Yes, sir.
Kevin Finley, City of Westland. I also too want to give kudos to the council for investing in that program. Amen. And for them, when you get to the kids to the city of Washington, so many things to do, Smithsonian, African American history, but take them to the Lincoln Memorial at night and let them look when they get to the top. It's breathtaking. I would like to thank the council. I've been in the city for some time now. I came to the first council meeting April 15th. I had some concerns about the wildlife over there where I'm living. And I'd like to thank President Councilman Dermick and Councilman, give me your name, give me your, wish you, amen, who made me feel warm, very welcome. I met some fine people in the audience that made me feel very welcome as well. So I'm excited to be coming to the city council meetings for the mayor. You're one of the most transparent administrations that I've met. I've been in the political game for a long time. I've served youth for over 35 years when I was in the other city out of Jersey where I lived. But I just want to give you kudos just in being transparent, having the budget meetings and things of that nature. And I will be involved, and you will begin to see my face more at these city council meetings. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Is there anyone on my left? Public comment. Yes, sir.
Thank you, City Council. It's not usually my forum to come up and speak. I did want to thank the council. As many of you know, my name is David Rappaport. I serve the city as the Planning Commission's chairperson. The issue that we had with the rezoning and the proposal for the car wash was a difficult one for us to handle at the City Planning Commission. And while there was, I wanted to express my deep appreciation for your sensitivity with the petitioner, because they clearly want to beautify and contribute to the city. And I'm not sure if any of you did actually watch the video of our deliberations, but one of the issues that was not brought up here, but was brought up and I thought it was relevant enough to bring up, the issue was entirely about location. Their location, their chosen location, is a fine location for what they would want to do. However, the issue is, what if they fail? We rezone to a use that we literally don't want there. And even though they would be the most acceptable version of that, if they were to fail in that location, our concern was that a different automotive use that would be unacceptable to us would be able to move in there as of right, and we would not be able to stop them. And once again, I wanted to thank you for your wisdom and your vision and please encourage this business owner to invest in the city of Westland. I think that he would be a phenomenal addition to our business community. And the last thing before I run out of time, I wanted to support the young lady with her suggestion for additional recreational uses to replace the loss that honestly the city has suffered with the loss of the Bailey Center. Specifically, her suggestion for a public pool, whether outside or inside, I think is an excellent idea, all for the reasons that she stated, but also moving forward, it could be used for hydrotherapy for the elderly as well. And once again, I'd like to support. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Ms. Rappel. Public comment, anyone else on my right? Ray.
Wow, let's give the shape of the basketball. It's been a long night. I've been at it since early this morning. Of course, I am Ray. Go Ray here is the new name, I guess. I've been having it for a while. Got myself a new name tag now. Got that made up. I got business cards. So when I am out and about training, this is great. So what I'm going to talk about for a second is the mission of it. Why is it so important to me? Well, first of all, inclusion. Inclusion is very important because years ago, people weren't included. Diversity. I'm very strong about diversity, and I believe in hope. Hope for others. And as I am as a speaker, I am a team leader. I am an accuracy trainer. I do train on different things. So I train on general teaching. I train peer mentoring. So I wear many hats. Certified peer mentor, and I've been going on there for 12 years. And they got my shirt here, and it says mental health back here. Well, let's talk about that for Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's what I'm talking about, underneath the rug. A lot of times, we try to avoid that. So the 988 number, people are there to listen, like I told the fire department, I told the police department. I give them some really good information about how people, before we avoid that crisis, they don't always have to end up in the hospital. I mean, they're there to listen. Suicide, anything. Maybe somebody lost a loved one. Sometimes people go through, like in my trainings I talked about, I need people to talk to. You guys need people to talk to. Everyone needs somebody to talk to. And anyway, I am going to be hitting up to Lansing on Friday on talking about peer mentoring and supports and encourage more peer mentors. So they're asking me for my expertise up there now. So I'm going up there on the DD Council next week, the 13th and 14th, 15th, going to be up there for the retreat. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And my biggest key things I walked out with the police department and the fire department is respect. Respect goes both ways. We may not always agree, but hey, that's what we call respect. And another thing I walked away, what I taught them is general teaching. Mind, body, and spirit. So when you walk in someone's home, try to respect them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Yes, I was just going to say on my left, but Ms. Wilson, you already had your hand. You are all ready to go. You are all ready to go.
Lori Wilson, Southeast Westland Homeowners Association, Annapolis Park, Julius Boulevard. Thank you, Mr. Dolly, Chief Dolly. We had an incident happen down on my block yesterday. Do not drive distracted. Do not text and drive. Keep your eye on We had a guy that was in a SUV, distracted driving, hit the rear end of an F-150, sent the F-150 into a tree so hard that it bounced back 4 feet. Now, mind you, it went underneath it. You gotta slow down. Those speed bumps, it helped down by my house, didn't help down by closer to the corner. It was bad. So both cars have been, one was totaled, it's gotta be, because the airbags deployed. There was, thank God, there were nobody in the other truck that got hit. Thank God there were no kids because he drove it right up on the apron of the street. So, thank you, because your guys were down there too. He didn't nobody required medical help, but the fact was, it happened. Distracted driving. Slow it down. Get us the humps. We're good.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on my right? Mr. Powell.
Hello, Josh Powell. I want to congratulate Councilman Hornbuckle on his appointment. And then, you know what I'm going to ask you. I'm going to see if there's been any progress or discussion on the water tower at all. I know in last year's budget there was a possibility for a study, but I didn't know if that didn't move forward at all, or if there's any more discussion this year about that. But that's all the comments I had. I just wondered if you had an update on that at all.
There has been some information that we had gotten a couple of months back that I can actually share with you.
Okay.
So I can maybe send you an email if I.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Anyone else, public comment on my left? Mr. Warren.
Okay, here I am again. In regards to community development. Agenda item 9, February 5th, 2024. This council approved a school liaison issue with the police department. Okay? And which the school district said that it would pay over 50% of that officer's pay, all the overtime that the officer had. Okay? Now, the mayor talked about me in regards to this $40,000 in regards to, I was in disagreement. It shouldn't be paid because you've already have a contract. Why would the community development block grant funds be to double the contract? Unless the police department didn't have the money to pay. Now, if we're backing up the money to the police department, they entered in a contract that can't pay, then that might be a whole different item. But here's your contract right here. February 5th, earlier this year, but yet our community development people put it in the package. They're already being paid. The deal has already been sealed. So, and those were some of the things that we were talking about in regards to our commission. Some of these things is it our responsibility where the city doesn't have a budget to fulfill it? I don't think so. Because what was being proposed was too administration heavy. Now the mayor talks about all these wonderful programs that we have, that he's got for. He never mentioned them yet. I mean, if he had mentioned them, but the only thing that I've heard that was going to occur down on the south end, that they're going to hang some banners on Middle Belt. Change the street lights on Middle Belt from Annapolis to Van Born. That's all I've heard. Okay? But if he does have a plan, then he needs to get it to us right away. But from what I can see here is that the proposals from the administration are for the administration's benefit and not for the community's benefit. And I would kindly like for you guys to pay close attention to that, because community development funds, and what we've witnessed in the community when these funds have been paid over the last 10 or 15 years. We're talking about $1 million to the police department, $1 million to the Coca-Cola, but we haven't seen any meaningful change. When we had community officers, they had a place at the Fire Station 3. That's no longer exists. They had a building over at Jefferson Barn. That no longer exists. So where are the community officers?
Thank you,
They
Mr.
don't
Warren.
exist.
Your time is up.
You're thanking me.
I always thank everybody.
I'll deal with you later.
Okay. Is there anyone else on my right for public comment? Anyone else on my left for public comment? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we will close public comment and move on to comments from the administration.
Well, thank you, Council President. And thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Thank you to all the speakers. It's been a few hours here, and we've got a lot done. And it's been a very busy few weeks in the city. And I want to start my comments tonight by congratulating former Westland City Councilman Peter Herzberg on being elected our new state representative. He's been spending a lot of time in Lansing the last couple weeks, and I've been in a lot of contact with him. As a former state rep, I've tried to give him good advice about navigating Lansing and representing our district well up there. I'd also like to congratulate our new council member, Delano Hornbuckle. My sincere congratulations. I look forward to working with you, and Councilman Hornbuckle and I have gotten to spend some time together and talk quite a bit the last few weeks. I think he's somebody that's a public servant. He wants to do best for our community, and administration's going to be a partner with you going forward. And I definitely respect the council's wishes to appoint Mr. Hornbuckle, and again, my congratulations, and look forward to working with you. And I'd also like to congratulate our new Zoning Board of Appeals member, Christina Worm. Thank you, Christina, for continuing to step up for the community and serve Westland. So thank you for that. I'd also like to thank the council for adopting National Public Works Week proclamation. And I'd like to personally thank our public service employees for all of their hard work around the city. These are the men and women you see outdoors, braving the heat and the cold, and getting a lot done for us. I was in Annapolis Park subdivision earlier today, where I visited the DPS workers who were on Matthew Street installing the speed humps, and I let them know that there'd be more speed humps on the way, so we're going to keep them kind of busy. I'd also like to thank the City Council for all the great discussion during our budget study sessions, and continue to work with the administration on our shared priorities. And I look forward to the adoption of our budget going forward. You may have noticed a large amount of DTE trucks in Westland lately. We've had a lot of discussions with DTE's leadership. We've had them come to City Hall. We've seen them out and about in the community. And we've pushed on them hard to update our electrical infrastructure, and I think we're finally seeing some of those results. I know they were adding automation switches and updating the grid, especially along Warren by Meyer, but they're kind of going out and down throughout the city to some key areas where there's been issues with reliability and outages. So I want to thank DTE for sticking by their word and investing a lot of money here, and we're going to continue to push them to do better. We've had several events in the last couple of weeks. We had our Senior Health and Resource Day at the Friendship Center. We had our Earth Day celebration. We had the Westline Canine Corral Cleanup Day, our Youth Assistance Recognition Dinner, our Westland Youth Athletic Association Baseball Opening Day, and we also had an Autism Awareness Walk, which Councilwoman Sampe and I partnered on, and I want to thank everybody who it takes a lot of community support and collaboration to do these kinds of events throughout town. A lot of them are volunteers. A lot of our city staff and administration volunteer their time. Our police and firefighters volunteer their time. So I want to thank everybody for working together and continue to make Westland a really positive, great place to live and doing these great events. So I really appreciate that. I'd also like to thank everybody who attended our listening tour stop so far. We've had quite a few around town. The most recent one was at the Friendship Center last week. We had a great turnout, a lot of great comments and questions, so thank you for all the feedback and questions. Our next one will be in June. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 5:30 p.m. at Stottlemyre Park. And we hope to see you there. It's going to be an outdoor event, so hopefully the weather cooperates, and look forward to seeing. And you don't have to be from that neighborhood to come. It's open to all city residents. So please show up. We're going to provide some refreshments, and we'll have our police and fire chiefs there on hand as well. And City Council is welcome to join also if you want to attend these. I'd also like to welcome Westland's newest businesses, Autocraft Pros, Bittersweet Bakehouse, Westside Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and Dr. Haj Yusuf, Medical Doctor Pediatrician. We've had a lot of ribbon cuttings that's been keeping us busy, and I do appreciate people continuing to invest in our city and for attending the ribbon cutting ceremonies. This Wednesday, May 8th, is the 11th anniversary of line of death duty of our firefighter, Brian Wilkie. I'll be ordering the flags at all city buildings lowered to half-staff for the day in his memory. And I want to ask everyone to please take a moment on this day, on Wednesday, to say a prayer for the Wilkie family. Wednesday, May 8th, we'll also be having a Jefferson Barnes Community Vitality Center Family Jamboree night from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Jefferson Barnes Community Center. There'll be food, music, games, and a bike raffle, and many more activities. So please bring the kids out and have a good time over there. There'll also be resources for residents, including housing resources, healthcare, food services, utility assistance, and more. The Westland Police Department is going to be holding their annual award ceremony here at City Hall this Friday, May 10th at 6 p.m., where officers will be recognized for their great work in the community, their bravery, and for serving our community. There'll be some special awards given out to the officers that night to recognize their service. Westland Fire Department will have their annual Firefighters Charity Ball the next day, Saturday, May 11th at 6 p.m. at the Hellenic Cultural Center, which is always a great night to support our firefighters and their charity fund as well. May 11th, at Saturday, there's going to be an Electronics Recycling Day at the Recycling Center from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Residents can drop off their items, including computers, laptops, tablets, phones, small household appliances, and more free of charge. I'd also like to wish my mother Becky and all the mothers around the world a happy Mother's Day. It's coming up May 12th, which is Sunday. You know, we're all here because of our mothers and the love and the support they've given us, and so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Our DEI department will be hosting a Compassionate Leaders Improve Lives Forum next Monday, May 13th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. The theme explores how compassionate leaders at all levels can compassionately promote individual opportunity, disability inclusion, multicultural belonging, and community well-being. I'd also like to invite everyone to our Memorial Day Parade that will be held on Sunday, May 26th at 1 p.m. And this is really all about the veterans and paying respects to them and recognizing them for their service. So we thank our veterans, and the parade will start at John Glenn High School. It'll travel down to the Westland Veterans Memorial Garden behind the Westland Library, where we'll have a short ceremony. We also have two big retirements in our city coming up. Water foreman Tony Klisch is going to be leaving the city, and we thank him for his service. And also, Senior Resources Director Barbara Markham will be retiring later this month. And she's one of a kind. We've appreciated her service at the Westland Friendship Center. I know the seniors are going to miss her over there, and we're currently in the process of looking for a replacement for her. Our housing director, Joanne, has been not feeling well, and she's going to be taking a little time off, and we just want to wish her a speedy recovery, and we're thinking of you, Joanne. And then just lastly, I just wanted to touch on a couple of the speakers that came up. Mary, I think Mary's not here anymore, but we're working hard to make sure that Central City Park and the spray park and the pavilions are clean and orderly. I've talked to the police chief quite a bit about how to there's a lot of large crowds there. There's parking issues. There's issues with getting the pavilions cleaned up in a timely manner. So we're going to work to do even better over there. I've talked to our Parks and Rec Director, Kyle Mulligan, quite a bit. And we're looking at working together with the different departments so that we can keep Central City Park nice and clean. And then Brooke, I think it was Brooke, right? Thanks for coming up. Definitely appreciate your advocacy for recreation. I think you're onto something there, that we are missing that in our community. Since the Bailey Center closed 11 years ago, we haven't had a dedicated recreation center. We haven't had that community pool. I know former Mayor Wild was looking for an opportunity at the Marshall Middle School to create a rec center there. As our state representative back in 2022, I appropriated $500,000 towards that project. Unfortunately, with some complications, that project didn't really get off the ground. I have been in some discussions with our state reps, though, Representative Hertzberg and Representative Wagella, about looking for state funding in the long term. I don't think we're going to see anything in the next few months, but it is something that we're interested in. I know council members have discussed recreation and the need for more of that in the community, so definitely appreciate you speaking tonight. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the city attorney this evening? No, not this evening. Okay, thank you. We will begin council comments tonight with Councilman Hornbuckle. Yeah.
All right.
Head her up.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. You know, right now I'm got a lot of emotions going on. Happy to be here. But the main reason I continue to fight to be here to serve the community is for what we witnessed today. Being able to inspire some young kid to do something, to pave a way for them to go somewhere, do something that they never thought they'd be able to do in their life. When I was a little kid, I never imagined I'll be sitting right here serving a community of this size. So to continue to be in the community, continue to fight to be here is why I continue to fight to serve the community I live in. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you everyone for the support. Thank you, Mayor, for taking a moment to talk and build that relationship back. I believe we have some work to do to make our community thrive, because that's the whole reason why we do this, to help our community thrive. And the people in our community, we want to see those people thrive as well in our community. So thank you. Appreciate you hanging there for the night, and I look forward to talking to each and every one of you. And have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from Councilwoman Rakowski.
Well, good evening, and I'll try to keep it as short as I can with the interest of everybody making their time commitment this evening. I want to congratulate Mr. Delano Hornbuckle for being appointed to council. I look forward to serving with you. You know, the first meetings of the month are always my favorite, and it's I'm a little sad. It's the last time this year, school year, we'll recognize our students that were caught being compassionate, but I'd like to recognize one more time Maishawn, Riley, and Ariel for being outstanding humans and setting an example for their peers. I'd like to thank and congratulate Christina Worm for accepting the appointment to the zoning board in combination with all of the other things that she does, especially with our Norwayne community. You know, earlier I had made a recommendation that the council agreed to about the lobby rehab of our police department, and I certainly recognize the need. However, when something's tied to a budget that hasn't been passed yet, I don't think that would be a wise move on our part to make. And so I do look forward to being able to revisit this once the budget has been passed. I would be in big trouble if I didn't say happy anniversary to my husband. That will celebrate, you know, just a few years. Our marriage can officially drive this year. So that's coming up this week, so happy anniversary. I also would like to wish my mother a happy Mother's Day, and also wish all of those who celebrate Mother's Day, or even those that face that day with a lot of trepidation, because maybe their life had different plans for them, that we see you and we wrap our arms around you as well. And then, the past couple, 2 weekends ago, right after we lost the matriarch of my husband's family. She was 98 years old. She was a Westland resident for the second time. This is the cool part that I found out. However, we lost her at home. She was surrounded by her daughters, so I think if you could plan the way to go, I think she was blessed with the best circumstances that we could have given her. I'd like to thank our fire department. We've relied on them a couple times during the closure of her earthly life, and they were so kind and compassionate and very respectful. So, I'm always a big champion of you, but there's a very special kudos and heartfelt for you in her last moments. Sorry. But while we were settling her estate, and she is an English immigrant, and they came here after going to Canada, after Granddad was in the Royal Air Force after World War II. So there's nothing left in England. Go to Canada. Ford finds out that he can reverse engineer. So they roll out some blueprints, invite him down to Detroit. He's supposed to, tell him what he sees. Long story short, they told him, you'll never be without a job at Ford. So yay for them. But oddly enough, they made Ackley Street home when they came to America. So I thought that was an interesting full circle moment because both of the matriarchs of our families called this area home. So that's kind of cool. But I wish her nothing but peace. I send my my mother-in-law and the rest of my husband's family as much peace as well. But she's home and she's with her husband, and it'll be a little different Mother's Day this year. But thank you all for sticking it out with us. Thank you for fighting for what's right, and thank you, colleagues, for giving our youth some chances here. And we've been fighting for a pool for a long time. So we're here with you, girl. We want the pool, too. He doesn't want the pool.
Oh, wait.
But the rest of us want the pool.
I know, right? Wait a minute, I'm going to clarify now.
I remember somebody saying about holes in grounds that you throw money in, but you're absolutely correct. And I think all of us are really passionate about wanting to give our children opportunities. And you're right, the adolescents are the ones that, kind of, don't want to say they're forgotten, because they got a cool skate park, but that's where it begins and ends, right? So we definitely need to be doing more programming for, outside of elementary school. So with the very last thing, as I'm an educator, it is Teacher Appreciation Week. Please thank your teachers. The best thing you can do is advocate for them. Call your state representatives and your senators and tell them to protect them, their lives, their livelihoods. They do not get paid enough for what they provide to our future. Send their principal a note about how amazing they are. Goes much further than a coffee mug, and they'll greatly appreciate it. So to all the teachers, all the ones that have impacted my life, all of my colleagues, I see you, and keep up the good work, and keep up the good fight. And let's continue to make tomorrow brighter through our students. Good night.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilman Wishart.
Just want to congratulate the children that came up here today about the deeds they did. It's awesome. I wish I was around when I was a kid. Even more so, I'm envious of all the people going to the youth program that are able to travel to D.C. I lived there for many years, and it was an amazing place, and I wish I would have got to visit that when I was a child that age. Last but not least, I would like to congratulate Mr. Hornbuckle. I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. Okay, we will now hear from Councilwoman Baumann.
Thank you. I just first want to say thank you for all the people that came tonight and spoke. We had a full room earlier. And so, and thank you for those who decide to stay to the end of this meeting. I do also want to congratulate Councilman Holmbuckle, as well as Christina Worms on her appointment as well tonight. And I share also with the Compassionate Awards for the three. I think that's just, it is really, I like the words where they get caught in the act of doing compassionate. I think that's really a great thing. And I would imagine that we probably could actually extend it to more than 3 people on a regular basis. So yeah, so it'll be fun to have that start up again in the fall. I do want to, I want to recognize that today is, I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right, but today is, I believe it's called Holocaust Memorial Day. It actually ended at sunset today, called Yom Shoah. So any of our Jewish residents who actually remember the Holocaust, have the Memorial Day, I don't want to say celebrate, but honor that. I just want to make sure I'm honoring that as well for them. I do want to make couple of things I was just kind of thinking about here. The reason for the public hearing for the vacating that got moved, and I know there was some concern with having it tonight, it actually got moved because there was a misprint on the sign. So it did not get moved because of council moving it at all. It actually got moved because there was a misprint on the public sign. And when that was identified, that had to be redone, and then the public hearing had to be rescheduled for tonight. So I do want to make sure that was there. I also wanted to reference why I voted yes and no on the block grant. I voted yes to, actually I voted no. Anyway, whatever. I voted no on item 9, partly because with all the conversation we were having about it, the language that threw me was where it says that the city is authorized to prepare and execute the necessary agreements to implement the projects and programs. And if we've just gotten done saying that we might be revisiting some of these, I was not comfortable actually saying yes to that. So that's why it might seem inconsistent, but that was why I did that. Let's see, what other things do I have written down here? I also want to say Happy Mother's Day, and I want to honor, first I want to honor Mental Health Awareness Month today, May. Thank you, Ray, for bringing that up. And it's been a very important thing for me. I think I've shared before my family members and different things that even I've gone through that have just, I talk to people, I'm like, when you see someone, whether you've seen them 100 times or it's your first time, you do not know what is going on behind their eyes. I told my daughter this, I said, if someone had a bone sticking out of their leg, everyone would see it. And they'd say, are you going to get that fixed? Are you going to get that? Are you going to go to the doctor and make sure you take care of that bone that's sticking out of your leg? Don't you see what's going on? Everyone would say something and see it. But you could have a bone sticking out of your brain, essentially, and no one sees it. And we hide it. We sit there and we hide it behind our eyes. And it's one of those things that I really encourage, and I've got to do it too. I'm not always good at it. I get going on my day, I get going on my thing, and but I know, especially when I've ever been in any kind of customer service or I'm talking with someone, or I can slow it down a little bit and just say, and just listen. Because I don't know what they went through right before. And even if they're yelling at me, I don't know what they went through right before. And likewise, they don't know what I went through right before we've had that moment together. So I just encourage people to be aware of other people that way. Just to be aware of it. And with that, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, as well as for those of us who are no longer able to see our moms who have passed. I have a friend who just mom passed as well. What I always do like to say is I try to find a mom that I can say Happy Mother's Day to, just because that's kind of where it makes me feel good. So I don't want to go too long on this. I know we've all had a wonderful, I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening to me. And I think that is all for me tonight. So thank you very much. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, I think.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Hart.
Thank you, Council President. I'll be brief. Welcome, Councilman Hornbuckle. So excited to see you appointed. Looking forward to working with you as part of this outstanding dynamic team of 7. Christina Worm, I know you left, but if you're watching this because you just absolutely have nothing else better to do, congratulations. Welcome to the ZBA. Your talents are welcomed, and we look forward to having you here. With the CDBG, Mayor, thank you for your commitment to work with the advisory committee to take another look at that. I think we can take another swing at that, so your public commitment to do that gives me comfort and allowed me to feel comfortable moving that forward, so I thank you for it. Beyond that, I'll wish my son Michael, who won't be watching this, but just in case you do, happy birthday last week. Michael's 17, and Samantha, good Lord help me, she turns 21 this week. So pray for me. With that, thank you, Council President. I have nothing else.
Okay. Pro Tem.
Thank you. It's been a long meeting, that's for sure. I know that we congratulated our students, so again, I'll say Maishan, I'm sorry I'm saying it wrong, Riley, Ariel, congratulations again. This is going to be the last meeting that we're going to get to do this for the year, but I know we'll be doing this again next year. Delano, congratulations. I am very happy that you'll be sitting next to me. I don't think we're doing any shuffling, but congratulations. You're a really great person, and I know it was unfortunate what happened last time, but I'm really happy you're back. Christina Worm, congratulations again. I know that we've said it numerous times, but congratulations. Your talents are definitely valued here in the city. Brooke, so one of the things that I ran on in 2021 and continue to run on is recreation. You can ask any of my council members. I talk about recreation, a pool, a rec center, something for our kids to do. My son's 17, my daughter's 23, and we've lived in Westland our whole life, and a rec center was present and it was gone. So I agree with you. One of the things that I brought up in the budget session, which it can't be ditched, as I said, we're building a $12 million park right behind us, but why can't we have a pool? So that was one of the things I brought up, and I know Mayor was like, we just can't do it because the funds are committed. But I've challenged him that we got to figure out a way to do it, because I think we need a recreation center with a pool, even if it's a pool with a meeting room and a locker room. But I agree with you, the city deserves a pool, and our children deserve a pool that we can have recreation year-round. So thanks for bringing that up. Absolutely. I was kind of disappointed in this, I know the women on council supported me on this, but the CDBG plan, the reason why I fought so hard is I really felt that what was proposed was not indicative of what the Community Advisory Council needed. So what I'm hoping, and I know Mayor publicly said this, is that we will go to the table and we will do the right thing. And we will listen to the community, we will listen to the members, and we will act accordingly. So I know that there's multiple different thoughts, but I really hope that we can include those thoughts in the plan. I know this has been brought up, and I'm going to try not to get emotional, but Mental Health Awareness Month is May. I guess I'll go there. Last year I mentioned this, and I talk a lot about this. I shared the video on Facebook. I kind of talked about a little bit more about mental health, and I sent it to a good friend of mine, and I had no idea she was dealing with anything mental health. Not too long after that, she committed suicide. Hard. And I had no idea that she was struggling. And I know it's been talked about by one of my colleagues, but I always feel like everyone should operate under the assumption that you're struggling with something. Like when you look at somebody, know that they probably have something heavy on their heart. They probably are dealing with something. You have no idea, which is so true, the unseen disease, whether it's anxiety or depression or just someone that's dealing with something at home, bipolar disease. I have a lot of family members that deal with that on a daily basis. And they get labeled, they're crazy or in their head or whatnot. But what I'll say is that if you feel like quitting, don't give up. Do not give up. I really feel like in Mental Health Awareness Month, we need to be more cognizant of being there and just asking people like how you're doing and, you know, if you need a friend or someone to talk to. So I'm really big on mental health. That's something that has always been a passion of mine, and I talk about it. But, you know, I think if you're not okay, it is actually something that someone should have the strength to say, I'm not okay. So, you know, check on your friends and neighbors. I really think it's really important, especially this month. Thanks, Ray. We did have an Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month walk. Mayor did mention this. I want to thank you for his support in that. That was on Sunday, April 28th. I've already talked to a few people about making it next year being even bigger and better, doing a 5K walk. So we're already kind of looking at sponsors. So we're going to work with the county and a few other people to just make it bigger and better every year. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be getting a committee together. I know that the golf course is open, so just kind of a reminder that it is open. Book your tee times. And I hope that we can discuss the budget. I know there's a few things. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get our answers to our questions. There's a few things that we asked. And hopefully we can kind of get those questions answered. I know Council President sent out a note to administration. We're still waiting on those answers. But there's a lot of questions. I had some questions personally, and my colleagues had some questions. So hopefully we can kind of get those ironed out. I wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom. She just recently was discharged from the hospital. She broke her vertebrae, and she had an infection. So she was in the hospital for a little bit, but she is out. She's doing well. I'm very thankful, you know, praise God for that she's out, she's home, and she's doing well. I wanted to thank all the other mothers that are celebrating, to my colleagues as well, too. Happy Mother's Day. You guys, you carry a heavy load, you know, being up here and taking care of our families. But wanted to thank, like I said, all the City of Westland mothers, everyone in the audience, everyone that's watching. Our next meeting is the 20th. I know we have a lot of community events between now and then, so hit our website, cityofwestland.com. And if you need to reach me, you can call me at 734-637-2078. And be kind and safe with each other. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Pro Tem. I, too, want to congratulate all the kids on their compassionate acts, Maishawn, Riley, and Ariel. This will be, as was mentioned the last time, that we get to honor students in the Wayne Westland schools this year. But thank you for being a shining example of what our city and compassionate acts are all about. I want to acknowledge that this past Saturday was Firefighter Appreciation Day, so thank you to our Westland Fire Department, all the brave men and women who put on the uniform and the badge each and every day here in the city of Westland and risk your lives. And more than just a thanks, I'm glad that we're finally moving forward with this administration with a plan of action to actually fund more firefighters. It's great that we can come up here and acknowledge and say thank you, but we really need a long-term, developed plan to be able to fund that. So I'm happy that the council and the administration are able to work together to bring more firefighters on a permanent basis on board here in the city of Westland. I think that's going to go a long way. As has been mentioned, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. I specifically wore green for that because green is the color for mental health awareness. One thing I've advocated for time and again, and I know it's a big undertaking that will require a lot of money, but I think we ought to start a public health department here in the city of Westland to really dive in, not only to brain health and mental health issues, but to dive into, health equity and healthcare equity. It's something that we see in working class communities like Westland that there's a huge disparity in. If you contrast the public health resources and dollars that are spent in a community like Canton Township, Livonia, Novi versus what's spent here in Westland, there is a huge inequity in a working class community like Westland. So I would like to see us really start to explore the idea, like the city of Dearborn recently did 2 years ago, in developing our own City of Westland Public Health Department. I know it's a big and expensive undertaking, but I think there's a lot of opportunity there to expand on the social work program that we're doing here in the city, to have a full-service public health department with a director, a health and wellness specialist, a community paramedic or traveling nurse, whatever we want to, kind of title and label that, but I think there's a lot more work that we can do there. On the issue of brain health and mental health, thank you to my colleague, Councilwoman Sampe, for organizing the autism walk in the administration, and the mayor for putting that on. It was a great first event. I know it's only going to get bigger and better from here, so I appreciate the work from my colleague and the mayor for getting that put together as well. Thank you to the congregation in the Gethsemane Church for coming out and really advocating for that project. I think this is a great one to be able to fund the trip to Washington, D.C., so we're really excited, and we want to hear reports back from the kids and the great time that they hopefully are going to have when they get to go on that summer trip. With regards to the CDBG funding, obviously, a lot of discussion. The reason why we're here till 10:30, that took up, I think a bulk of what we talked about tonight. I am glad that there is a commitment from the administration to revisit that, to talk with the commission, and have a further conversation there. Look, my vote on this tonight, I don't want to see us pushed up against a deadline and then miss out on the opportunity to have that CDBG funding and have the federal government breathing down our neck saying, where's your proposal? So while we are submitting a proposal to the federal government, we still have the opportunity and have gotten the commitment from the administration that we're going to have further discussion on the individual items. And as was mentioned by Director Shiflett tonight, we as a council have the opportunity to make additional changes to CDBG if we so choose to do so. I want to congratulate my colleague and also my neighbor from 6 houses down, Councilman Hornbuckle. Welcome back to the council again. Excited to be able to work with you on some new initiatives here. I want to congratulate everybody who threw their name in the hat. We had a lot of great candidates who stepped forward and said they wanted to serve their committee with a wide variety of backgrounds. Folks who talk about water towers and want to have a water tower built all the time, people who were former county commissioners and attorneys. So thank you to everyone who stepped up and put their name in the hat as well. And I would encourage you all to stay involved here in the community. Regarding the pool, thank you for bringing that up. When we did the study for the Marshall Plan, a couple of different things. We spent a lot of time on that Marshall Recreation Center plan, and it's disappointing that we didn't end up spending the time on a ground-up recreation center. Some communities are looking at doing that. Redford Township is doing that. Caledonia, Michigan did that. So we had that discussion regarding a rec center, and more specifically, when we sent out a survey regarding Marshall, the number one thing that people wanted to see was an aquatics facility, a pool. And so I certainly hope that we can continue that conversation. We had gotten a big pot of money from the federal government, taxpayer money, in terms of the American Rescue Plan. We had an opportunity to go beyond Marshall, but unfortunately, we didn't. And so we ended up deciding to allocate that money elsewhere, but hopefully in the future, I know that all of us on council want a recreation center and want probably, a pool or aquatics facility of some kind. I think that's a universal stated goal by everybody up here. So I think we're all with you when you come up here and talk about that. We're all on your side with that. In addition to the Bailey Center, many people remember going out and using the outdoor pool that used to be there, right next to the Bailey Center in Tattown in Central City Park. Congratulations to Christina Worm for your appointment on ZBA. Glad that you stepped up and are willing to do that. As I mentioned earlier, it's great to have diversity from all ends of the community serving on our boards and commissions. I'd like to wish my mom, Kathy, a very happy and special Mother's Day, and to all the moms out there in Westland or mother figures who have stepped up and been a motherly figure in someone's life. A very happy Mother's Day. With that, I think that's about all I have. Oh, congratulations to all the youth who are recognized at the Youth Assistance Dinner, and to Paul Motz and his team for putting that together. Another fantastic event this year with youth assistance. And I would remind people, though, even though we don't have the Bailey Recreation Center anymore, we have a wonderful community center and recreation center over at Jefferson Barnes in Norwayne, where there are lots of recreational activities going on and lots of great, fantastic community engagement and family friendly events going on at the Jefferson Barnes Community Vitality Center located in the historic Norwayne District. I would encourage everyone to visit Jefferson Barnes and all the programming and wonderful opportunities and family-friendly events that they have. Please partake in that. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn? All right.